look, you got your laptop, you're working from home,
Working from home.
Yeah. And for those of you, though, that do have to be out and about for your job, salute to you. Be careful out there. Be safe. Obviously, we all made it into the studio today. And, not great out there, Not great. Some areas better than others. It's going to continue throughout the day. And, if you don't have to be outside, just stay in. We always, we were joking. We get an email, and I'm sure you guys have this depending on what you do for a living. Get an email, and it's very nice, by the way, right? Because it's like, hey, I want everybody to be safe.
From the big bosses.
Everybody be safe. Just work from home, unless, And I always laugh at those because those never apply to us anyway. Like, we know, Cody, you better have a great reason for you. Like, your car better be stuck in a ditch for you not to come in today.
Really? This is not that important of a job. Can I just not feel like coming in?
But that's my point, is we know we're coming in. We could have had 4 more inches of snow last night. We'd still be here. You know what I mean? There's an expectation.
I mean, I guess. Maybe we could just start doing it remote like other people in this.
I know there's some people
out there.
Can
we just do this from our basement? We did that during COVID for a little bit.
We didn't have the equipment with us. But yes, we know we did those. But that also requires Drew. Poor Drew would still have to be – someone has to run the board. So that would be.
Well, Drew's got to work no matter what. Sorry, Drew.
Well, that
your
sucks.
job is more important than.
No, I'm glad we all made it in.
Would that make us jerks if we're just like, hey, Drew, we're gonna do the show from home, so just pull us up on Zoom or whatever. That'd be great.
Yeah,
but if you don't mind, and because you have no choice,
we need you to go in the studio.
Be great.
That would be a messed up move on our part as well. But no, I know there's people listening that are out shoveling snow or plowing snow as well. So salute, props to all of you. You guys can hit us up on the J Southland Tow Service text line 913-586-7610. We got our guy Vinnie Pasquantino, who is maybe going to try to make it to Kansas City this weekend for the playoff game. He's going to join us
this week.
In about 30 minutes or so. And then also our guy Nate Taylor from The Athletic, our Chiefs insider, going to join us at 11 o'clock. Because the Chiefs are playing Saturday, everything's moved around a little bit this week. That means you're going to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes today at 11:45 right here on your official broadcast partner for the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio. I think we need to go back a little bit to where we were preseason, though, for a second, and then now where we're at, because everybody reevaluates as a team goes through their season. Now we know it's Super Wildcard Weekend. Now you know the potential path ahead. And what is a good season versus what is your new expectation, right? Because I think we all agreed that we're in this window right now, specifically with number 15, that it is Super Bowl or bust, right? I mean, wasn't that...
Yeah, I'm not going to come here after, they beat Miami but lose to Buffalo and be like, great season, guys. You tried hard. No, it's win a Super Bowl or the season was a loss.
But I think there probably is a shift in expectation, right? And that's why I said they're two different things. I think the expectation, and this is why I'll ask on the text line, and we can check us out on Twitter too, at 610SportsKC. I think the expectation, at least for me, though, has changed. How can it not? The success thing, I'm with you. This is the era, get to Super Bowls, right? Get to Super Bowls, get to Super Bowls, get to Super Bowls. We've been spoiled. They made it look easy. But expectation, my expectation is they win this weekend. My expectation is they win this weekend, and frankly, a complete toss-up and who knows at Buffalo, perhaps. And I probably will not be expecting a win at Buffalo next weekend. That's kind of where I'm at expectation-wise. But hey, it was a successful season. The bar is raised. Most teams, winning a division title, winning 11 games, great success. Winning
show a little playoff hope, sure.
So I guess I'm asking, does anybody's view of success change now, or is it just your expectation has shifted? Because that's where I'm at. My success is still going to a Super Bowl. My expectation is that they're probably losing divisional round weekend.
Yeah. By the way, kudos to all the people on the text line. I said, is anyone there? Bunch of you out there. UPS drivers, mail carriers, people pointing out, Lance, make sure you tip, if you're getting delivered food today, doing it. Somebody said they were surprised I showed up at all. Someone says they're plowing at my alma mater. They're over at either Winnetonka or UMKC, depending on which alma mater they meant. But when I look at it, I still it's so hard because I don't want to soften the eventual blow because that's what it feels like. If we say that our expectation is no longer for them to go to the Super Bowl, then it's easy to come in here after a Bills loss, let's say, and be like, well, I got to be honest. I didn't think they were going to the Super Bowl based on this year's team. I want the heat still on them because that should still be their expectation unless there was something contrary that would push it so far. Unless there was a team, in my opinion, in the AFC that was that much better than them. No offense, Baltimore's better than them. I'm not trying to argue that end of it. Baltimore has lost to multiple teams that are in the AFC playoff field who they could potentially face, including the Browns in the next round. The Chiefs have beaten and lost to multiple teams in this playoff. For the matter of fact, the only team I think they've beaten in the playoff field is Miami,
right?
The team they take on this Saturday. Miami's only beaten one team in the playoff field, right? It's a mess. It's a messy AFC. So while if you made me, and I'm sure later this week, we will do our official who plays in the AFC and NFC title game and who plays in the Super Bowl conversation. While it'll be harder for me to choose Kansas City than it was in the beginning part of the season,
totally.
I think they got to keep that kind of pressure on themselves. But you're right. My expectation of what they are has changed a lot.
How could
because
it not?
I've had 17 games to look different.
Now, if you're wondering just what does Vegas say and right, what do the books say, even right here in Kansas, if you're curious, the Chiefs have the third best odds to get to the Super Bowl out of the AFC, so to win the AFC. They're at plus 450. They have the fifth best odds to win the Super Bowl at 10-1. So that's what the books say. Doesn't mean that that's exactly what's going to happen or not, as we know. Wasn't very long ago where there was a team like Buffalo 6 weeks ago that was like 20-something to win the Super Bowl, and now they have better odds than the Chiefs. Right? So things change very, very quickly. All it takes is, unfortunately, an injury to someone in these playoffs from an opponent, and suddenly the pool, the bracket, if you will, opens up drastically. But third best odds to come out of the AFC.
I just think it's really hard to not even in other years. Gold, you're right. Going into the preseason, most of the years we're going to be like, hey, it's Super Bowl or bust. But like going into certain years, we might feel a little bit different based on just where they are. Because at some point, I assume they hit a little dip down and then they got to rise back up. I always point out that even the Patriots went a decade at one point in between winning Super Bowls. I can't believe it's hard to imagine they went that kind of stretch without doing it. So it's like part of me is like, should I just accept this as the downswell? They took a shot at wide receiver. They had to go down to rebuild. And I should just be like, you know what? Get to your sixth straight AFC title. Like, I will say that. I do expect at least that. Get to the sixth straight AFC title game. You're still good enough for that.
That's your expectation still?
Yes.
Is that they're getting to an AFC title game? Interesting.
Like, and I understand that Buffalo is the most likely, 90% likely opponent based on betting markets or whatever to get there. Because what are the odds the Steelers are going to actually get the better of them?
Can they get to an AFC title game? Of course they can. Again, my expectation is shifted.
I just don't think Buffalo is significantly better than them. I think Buffalo's about the same as them.
Well, we talked about
better, not worse. No Pacheco in the first game.
Yeah.
And I still think it's early enough in the season that like Rice was definitely a better player, but not the player he is now, et cetera.
Last Friday when we were talking about heading into the weekend and the scenarios and knowing the Bills were going to play the Dolphins and all that, we mentioned the offense. That everybody's hyped up the Bills offense, and they are much better with Joe Brady as their OC. I think that's absolutely true. But multiple metrics, like there's like 5 or 6 of them that would actually tell you they're still just since week 10 that the Bills are just a middle of the road offense. So I do think people have overinflated what the Buffalo Bills are, and I think they've also become the team that now people we all do. Like some people want to root for their bet or their prediction, right? And so I think 6 weeks ago, in fact, I know for a fact 6 weeks ago, plenty of people nationally and in the betting community even, Cody, were saying, oh, man, the Bills are a really good bet, 15, 20-1 to win the Super Bowl or 9-1 to come out of the AFC. And by the way, they were correct. There was great value because the Bills are the number 2 seed. But now I think it's gotten to the point where people are overinflating them because they want it to come true so badly. Like, oh, we told you this is the team you don't want to play. This is the team you don't want to play. Let's still not forget they were they still were in danger of being the 7th seed or being out of the play. Like, so there's still a balance. Like a team that is obviously
they're like everyone else. Man.
Play,
that's the truth. They're just like the Chiefs or the Browns or everyone else. It's a mess.
You want to play your best football, entering the postseason. They're playing better than a lot of teams out there. Talking about the Bills, but let's not act like they're playing at the Ravens level or the Niners level or anything like that. There's a balance there. I will say overall though, looking at we'll talk more about the path. I mean that's the challenge I think to why my expectation is lowered.
The 2 seed path stinks.
So I'm not telling you I'm not going to upset if they lose in the divisional round. Like people are saying, like I'll still be really sad. Someone said on the text, like, well, yeah, like it'll suck if the season ends whenever it ends. Whether we've been spoiled that the season usually doesn't end with a loss recently, or if it does, it ends in the Super Bowl.
It'd be easier if you just lose because like a team outplays you, out-talents you.
Yeah.
It'll be hard if you lose because someone can't hold on to the damn football or line up on side or
punt return fumble
or the things that like are in your control, are always in your control. Sometimes a team is stronger than you at the line of scrimmage. Sometimes corner covers you well. Sometimes they tackle you short of the line of gain. Losing that way for the Chiefs is understandable, and that's what's been obviously going back so frustrating about this team really from the beginning is that when you go all the way back through all of this, you're like, God, if you just handled your business in the small things, it feels like you could have been the one. You could have been the two. I feel like this is the messiest year of the AFC in a long time because there's no clear separation between Bills, Chiefs, even Browns, who are starting Joe Flacco because of the talent they have in other areas of their team.
We'll get our NFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino's thoughts on the AFC playoff field and who does he have coming out of both the AFC and the NFC. That's coming up in 20 minutes or so. We know yesterday was a big day in Jackson County. We were discussing it on the show that there was going to be this Jackson County legislature meeting at the Jackson County courthouse yesterday. That did take place. A couple things out of that. One, the motion to move it forward, or the measure to move it forward towards an April ballot did pass. Now, there's a 10-day window, though, for Frank White, if he so chooses, to veto that. And Manny Abarca was quoted to the Kansas City Star saying he believes that Frank White will do that. If that happens, then they can override the veto with, I believe it's 6 votes that it takes to override. And if that happens,
it just passed 8-1.
Then it doesn't. Yeah, there you go. So then it doesn't matter, and then it would still end up on the April ballot. But it's not done yet. But that's where things stand. That there was a motion at one point, by the way, from Frank White yesterday to extend it 4 more days before they would vote, which was important because the deadline is the 23rd. And again, now the 10-day window is opened. And so if you extended it 4 more days, then you would have had, the 13th of January? I guess that's a Saturday, so maybe it would have been.
Technically, he could hold the veto,
run it out,
meaning
run
it
the clock out.
Yeah, exactly.
But fortunately, that motion did not pass. And so now the 10-day window is open, and they could override his veto if he so chooses to veto it. The Royals and Chiefs, of course, have come out recently and said that they will stay in Jackson County if voters approve the 3/8 cent sales tax extension in April. And it looks like we're one step closer to at least letting the public have a chance to decide. We know the Royals want a new stadium in Jackson County. It sure seems like the KC Star side is the preference. We know the Chiefs have said they want to renovate Arrowhead. That's where we stand right now.
It seems fairly obvious at this point that it's on the ballot. Like, we're good. It's on the ballot. It's going to be on the ballot because Frank White can veto it all he wants. They already clearly have the votes in order to do it, which is great. That's all we've been asking for this entire time, Gold.
Let the public
decide. The voters of Jackson County decide whether or not they want to approve another 40 years of the 3/8 cent sales tax. Now, there are a couple of things I'd like. We've been asking for that part. Cool. Step 1, done. Now, I think it is really important, especially over the next couple of months before we get to the April ballot, for these teams to make it very clear what they want the money for. As in, the Royals need to put a rendering out and tell me the site in which you're putting the stadium. I know they want a stadium. Tell me where it's going.
Right, yeah.
But I also think the Chiefs need to tell me what they're spending that renovation money on. You can't. We gave the Royals a hard time for this. We said, hey, you can't just ask for, when that one report came out, you can't just ask for my money and not tell me what it's for. Tell me how you're planning on spending the renovation money. I don't care if it's a new scoreboard or new seats or a new locker room. Tell me what your plan is for the cash. You don't just get a blank check.
Yeah,
and then
I would
like,
argue they
we're
have
gonna fix Arrowhead.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, my guess is, Cody, that's what February, March, and April are for. Right? I mean, I think
I'd like that to start up in the next few weeks.
Yeah,
because we know that they already have a plan for the cash.
Specifically with the Chiefs, like, we know it's going to be a renovation. And you're right. It probably is some combination of a new video board and updated suites and or other things, right? Or, whatever with the concourse. I mean, that's just typically what if we were to go check out recent renovations around the NFL, my guess is most involved a new video board.
I know, but
new concourses, new suites, right? I'm with you. They will need to do that at some point. But I'm not as concerned about what the renovation looks like because it's a renovation, not a new stadium, as I still am about what the heck is going on with the KC Star site, where that continues to gain momentum, because we have mentioned multiple times in the last week the issue that I potentially have with that if more questions don't get answered, which is, one, does that allow you to have a ballpark district still that the team builds? And for some of you are saying, and I get it, you're like, well, they already have the power and light, so it's perfect. They don't need that. My problem with that is John Sherman had previously said $1 billion in his money was going to go to this ballpark district. And one of the selling points, and you can roll your eyes at this if you want, I know I'll get a few texts on this, was that they were going to
I told you I was going to hold them to it, but yes.
They will put some of that revenue that they get that does not count against the revenue sharing in baseball back into the team. Well, if you do the KC Star site and you're not able to do the ballpark district the way you sold before, then some of the benefit of the downtown stadium, I'm sorry, is not there for me. The other part is there's 80-plus businesses already existing in the Crossroads, that area of the Crossroads, that you have to get each owner of said business to sell. You might have to go to court and eminent domain and a mess that comes with that. And all of a sudden the timeline gets pushed back even more. So that's my issue still with the unknown right now on the KC Star site.
Well, that's their job now because it seems obvious now. We're good, Gold. It's going to end up on the ballot, and in April in Jackson County, you're going to decide an extension on the 3/8 cent sales tax. Okay. And look, you're right. There's a couple things that
I think there's a 90% chance. You never know if some Hail Mary effort happens by somebody. 90% chance of that,
But so when you look back through the odds of it, because look, I still got to, like we talked about this with the Chiefs or the Royals, like I still don't think it makes a lot of sense to give the Chiefs a big pile of money just to renovate Arrowhead. It feels like you should be doing what the Royals are doing and just are we like, I guess my question would be, are you keeping it alive? You keep it alive forever? And this is Lambeau, and 200 years from now, people going to still go to Arrowhead? Or if you're thinking 40 years from now, you're going to take, hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of 40 years and just keep fixing it up? Or are you and then still tear it down? Which version of it?
And that's exactly it. Because in the joint statement that came out, the original one, not the one from yesterday, the one that came out last Friday, where it mentions that both the Royals and Chiefs are committed to another 40 years in Jackson County and all that, and that one would be a new stadium lease involving the Royals, and one would be an extension involving the Chiefs. I haven't been able to get the clear answer yet. I understand the press release said combined for another 40 years, but I still am curious, are they both signing 40-year leases? We know the Royals would be. Are the Chiefs signing a 40-year lease? And why is that important? It's what you're mentioning. Because in the past, Clark Hunt had mentioned that he preferred, doesn't mean he would get his wish, but preferred a 25-year, perhaps shorter-term lease. And why is that significant? Well, if the Royals are on a 40-year lease with the extension of the 3/8 cent sales tax, but the Chiefs, let's say, and this is speculation, are on a 25-year lease, well, then obviously after 25 years, you would be asking for a new tax or new money at that point, right? Because you wouldn't be able to just continue another project with the money that's supposed to last for 40 years or needs, to pay off in 40 years. So that's the tricky part for me, because otherwise, in 25 years, are the Chiefs trying to build a brand new palace in 25 years after a 40-year, a 3/8 cent sales tax that's technically for 40 years? We also know either way, by the way, this goes for the Royals too. In 40 years, it's not like they're never going to ask for a renovation for 40 years.
Or a new stadium, right?
40 years.
Royals might build a downtown stadium and be like, we'd like a new downtown stadium in 40 years. It happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, let's say that everything goes well. They build a stadium wherever it is downtown, and they sign the 40-year lease. Talking about the Royals. My guess is after 15 or 20, they're asking for a renovation. That's just how this stuff works.
I do think that they have to announce. Like, I don't think it'd be honestly. I don't think it'd be fair to Jackson County voters if they were just like, we're going to renovate. Like, and just that's what they left it at. Renovate. Like, I get it, but what? Like, it is important when you are trying to curry favor to tell people what they're getting out of it. Are you building a tailgate village? Are you putting a roof on it?
No. I think the answer to that is no.
I believe the answer to that is no, too.
Yeah.
Are you just getting suites? Are you adding, entertainment districts next to or in or around where Kaufman would no longer be? What are you doing at this site with that money? I think is really important over the next 4 months. And I don't think that the Chiefs don't know that. I think they do probably know that, Gold. And the Royals, we know what they're asking for. They're just going to build a stadium. Now we want to know how big the village is going to be and all the businesses around it. So they got to decide on the site and announce the site soon. Now that it appears we are just a few days away from getting the 100% clarification they'll be on the ballot. Because, again, they have the votes. It's going to be on the ballot because it passed 8-1. Frank White.
They have the votes in Jackson County to get on the ballot. We'll see. I think they'll have enough for the public too, but that they got to campaign. They got to campaign over the next 3 months.
Big time.
And put money behind that, and they will, and maybe the right voices, and be able to push that forward with Jackson County. I think the fact that the Chiefs are going to be tied to it means it's going to pass without a problem.
You think so?
Yeah. If it was a Royals separate, I would be way more skeptical. The Chiefs tied to it, I think they're safe.
I mean, that helps him. That definitely helps him. But I also think although I'll say, I think it would be easier if the Chiefs were building a new one And they were working.
Well, for the last couple months, like renovating Arrowhead to me, I'm sorry. I know, look, I love first stadium I ever went to, Arrowhead Stadium. There's history there. It's a college-like atmosphere. It's one of the best atmospheres, if not the best, in football. I've been to Lambeau. I talked about my experience there and what they've been able to continue to do through renovations.
Very cool.
But I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to likely in 20 years, 25 years, have to then turn back around. And at that point, you're probably asking for a new stadium. Why wouldn't you just do it now?
A quick applause last night. I've spent a number of years on this show complaining. The college football playoff game did not take too long last night. They did it. It was not midnight when it was wrapping up, although I turned it off long before that.
Did you? In the first half?
I turned it off in the first half.
Because it got interesting in the third quarter.
Okay, so I was watching in the first quarter, and then I'm like, Michigan is going to destroy this team. So I went away for a minute because I thought Michigan was getting ready to drive right after Washington had punted the ball back again. I'm like, this game's done. I'll come back around. Then it got close. It was like 17-10. So I started back up. Yeah. I'm in. After halftime, I'm back. 17-10. And then I watched Washington punt like 700 possessions in a row. The second Michigan started scoring again, I'm like, and we're done here.
Both teams just struggled to execute, and Michigan was the better team throughout the entire night. It looked like in the first quarter it was going to be a blowout. I know it ended up being one at the end, but the second and third quarter were actually, I thought, interesting and compelling enough. And then, the fourth quarter, Michigan ultimately gets the interception, and the game is over. Michael Penix Jr., as great as he played the prior 5 games, and he was perfect last week against Texas, he was way off. That offensive line couldn't protect. Some of his big-time receivers were dropping balls. It was just, there was a lot of mistakes on both sides, by the way. And Michigan, 15-0. The question is, over under 6.5 days, do you guys think Harbaugh is an NFL head coach?
Under. And so, the one thing that sucks is,
I think it's over. He'll drag it out a little bit.
Was there at any point in that game you thought Washington was winning? Like, for even just 1 second?
Yeah, there was.
1 second? Did you think
there was?
I didn't, Drew. I don't know about you. But
So there was, and it was right before half, obviously, Washington gets the touchdown to make it a one-possession game. And then they got the ball at a half, right? And the very first pass, Penix throws a pick. That's when it was over. But if they go down and march on that drive, I really think, they start with the ball. If they go get 7, we got ourselves a ball game. That did not happen. Michigan gets the interception. They get 3 points. And then, the way the game ended, of course, the scoreboard, it ended up being a blowout.
Yeah, it was interesting how Washington could not they essentially brought the Bengals defense, the run defense, for the first quarter because they could not stop anything.
No. Great adjustment. They did
great
slow down
adjustment.
Corum
Michigan was still running the ball. I was so surprised that they just didn't start running play action a little bit more. They could not. Washington was stacking everybody in the box. They did not believe J.J. McCarthy could throw a good enough pass to beat him down the field, and for a while it was working. And while the defense kept on coming up huge, you're waiting for that one play where Michael Penix Jr. throws it deep and Adunze caught it. He had one nice one, but he was just a tick off everywhere, I think. And Washington's defense did good enough, I think, to win the game. It's just that the offensive line was, by the end of the game, Penix was holding his ribs. I mean, he was getting hit almost every single time he was dropping back to pass.
What also happened? I thought we were supposed to get a trailer on the new NCAA football game.
That was some weird rumor.
We get robbed of that? I thought that was a lock.
I'm blaming Drew on this one.
I
feel like Pasta Padre or whatever the video game Madden account and NCAA football account tweeted something. Drew ran with it. Everybody ran with it. I think that's what happened here.
So there's a guy who has been updating people on information regarding the game, and I guess a week or two ago, had said he thought there was a relatively there was a shot that there could be some sort of an update regarding a release date or something like that, more information during the national title game, because you think, why not do it now? As great of a time, we haven't gotten barely any information on it. It releases this year. That same person came out today and said, for that, I was a little bit wrong, but I did give you a slim chance it happens. He said, those of you who are expecting a trailer, you're yelling at the wrong person. That's not me. I never thought that was the case.
Disappointing.
Never was going to happen.
I was disappointed.
I do think what was the last we saw Harbaugh as the head coach in Michigan. I think it's pretty clear he's going to the NFL for a variety of reasons. One, he just won a championship. I also think there's a chance he would be suspended multiple games at Michigan next year again, and it's the time to go. So whether it's the Chargers or it's the Raiders or it's the Commanders, I do think Harbaugh's going back to the NFL. I think he'll have success, by the way. I really do. Let's not forget what he was. He was an NFL head coach, had plenty of success with the 49ers.
Yeah, his record was very good in San Francisco. I think that it'll be over the 7 days, but it's not. It'll be done well before the Super Bowl comes, for sure.
He's just going to win his national title for the first time in 26 years for our guy Josh Vernier in Michigan, and then he's going to the NFL.
Vern's got to be thrilled. Can we call Vern a Michigan man? I've always asked him this because he didn't go to Michigan, but he's a Michigan fan.
He grew up,
Are
up
you
in
a
the
Michigan
area where
man?
everyone was a Michigan fan.
I thought to be a Michigan man, though. They call him Michigan men. I thought you had to go to Michigan. Like Mike Matheny was a Michigan man.
Jim Harbaugh said... I
don't want to say for sure.
I don't know if you guys saw
I
this.
don't know.
Jim Harbaugh said that when he gets laid to rest, all they want him to say, all I want to be said about myself in the eulogy is he was a Michigan man.
There you go.
I want people to say a lot of different things about me than just like the team I kind of root for sometime or played for.
Yeah. No.
I don't want them to be like, he was a 6'10" man on my deathbed. Say other things about me, okay? I like this company fine. Happy to be working for the station. I don't want that to be the thing you're saying on my deathbed.
All right, coming up next, we'll get back to the NFL. We'll ask our guy, Vinnie Pasquantino, our VNFL insider, is he making the trip to KC to watch some Chiefs football this weekend? And who does he have coming out of the AFC and headed to the Super Bowl?
Cody and Gold. Watch the show on YouTube by subscribing to the @610 Sports KC channel. 610 Sports Radio.
Get ready for the big playoff game with Hy-Vee's biggest deals of the season. Just 1 day to save on Pepsi 24-pack cans, $7.99. 85% ground chuck, $3.49 a pound. Totino's Party Pizzas, 4 for $5. And avocados, just 49 cents each. Use your free Hy-Vee Perks card and save 50 cents a gallon on fuel with any $50 purchase. Rush in for the win this Wednesday only at your Kansas City area Hy-Vee. Offer valid in store only. Some restrictions and limits apply. See store for details.
Hey, it's Kling. I always enjoy my time shopping at Hy-Vee, but I also play a little game with myself and seeing if I could rack up more fuel savers just by swiping that Hy-Vee Fuel Saver card. But there's even more. Introducing the all-new Hy-Vee Perks membership, a free and easy upgrade to your Fuel Saver card, exciting new advantages like exclusive member-only pricing on hundreds of items every day. To start earning the all-new benefits or to enroll for the first time, just go to hi-v.com/perks and upgrade your card. Hy-Vee Perks, the best grocery value in town.
With the new year comes new commitments. Make life easy with Old Shawnee Pizza's Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $14.99. Go to ShawneePizza.com. Old Shawnee Pizza with 3 locations, Shawnee, Lenexa, and now the Crossroads for carryout.
Last year, other dealers were charging up to $10,000 over MSRP, but those cars haven't held their value. I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. If your car is worth a lot less money than you bought it for, exchange it.
Is your car payment too much? Exchange it. Is your interest rate too high? Exchange it. Want a lower price? You guessed it. Exchange your vehicle at Volkswagen Lease Summit today. We're offering rates as low as 2.99% APR, low leases, and thousands off MSRP. Come and see us or visit VWLeaseSummit.com. Financing for VCI on approved credit.
Don't miss out on limited time appliance deals during the closeout event at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an extra $100 when you spend $999 or more on all major appliances. Hurry, these deals are too good to last long. Shop in-store or online today because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid 1/4 through 1/24. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for details.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call Heartland Men's Health today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at Heartland Men's Health will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
JR and Company offers a lifetime workmanship warranty on every residential roof. Why? Because our roofers are that good. Kinda makes you wonder about the other guys. JR and Company. home of the free online storm check at jrstormcheck.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-973-7809 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-973-7809. That's 800-973-7809. What do you have to lose? Call 800-973-7809. Again, 800-973-7809.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
The NFL playoffs live on Odyssey. Westwood One brings you all the action from Wild Card Weekend, streaming live on the free Odyssey app.
And off McCaffrey runs left, powers into the end zone, touchdown 49ers.
The excitement is contagious as teams start their journey towards the big game.
End zone, right side, it is caught, touchdown, Puka Nacua.
Listen to every game live from Westwood One. Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today. AUDACY.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com. Now joining Cody and Gold, it's your VinFL insider, Royals first baseman, Vinnie Pasquantino.
We hate the Broncos.
We still do, even though they're well out of the playoff picture, but we still do. We definitely do. It is time to check in with our VinFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino. We know, unfortunately, your Jets not in the postseason, but I'm curious, are you good with everybody staying put, it looks like? No changes happening with the Jets?
I guess so. That's all I really got to say on that. I guess so.
Are you impressed that the Jets were able to get to 7 wins considering the quarterback issues?
A little bit, I guess, but the Browns are 11-5, so I would have preferred to have been 11-5.
You know, did they make the mistake of not holding on to Flacco? That's what everyone's asking now.
No, I don't think so, because if you watched him play, it wasn't who he is right now. I don't know. He was there for 3 years. He played a few times, and he always put up good passing numbers, but they didn't necessarily win the most with him at quarterback. So I think he's in a really good situation right now. I don't think it was an indictment on him of why it didn't work out in New York, because it hasn't really worked out for a lot of quarterbacks in New York. So I think he's doing great in Cleveland, and good for him.
We can get to the other playoff matchups in a second, but obviously here in Kansas City, we know the Miami Dolphins are coming to KC on Saturday night, and it could be -10 or -20 wind chill. And obviously you played in some cold weather temps playing baseball, but what do you think the advantage is there? Everybody's making a big deal about the Dolphins going from South Beach to Kansas City for this game.
Well, I think the biggest deal is Isaiah Pacheco. he's like prime Derrick Henry in this weather. I'm not discounting anything he's done. Obviously, Derrick Henry's at a different level, but in 0-degree weather, you want to tackle that guy? Yeah, right. So I would imagine that Mahomes might have a season low in pass attempts this week. Because why not just give the ball to the guy who's going to run over everybody?
I hope you're right. I hope that's the philosophy. Now, what's the coldest baseball game you played in?
Probably in college, probably like a wind chill of like 25, something like that. Not like terribly. Actually, we went to Kansas State when I was a junior. It was pretty cold there one weekend. It was like early March. It's pretty cold.
Are you?
That may be the coldest.
Are you still planning on coming to the game this weekend?
If flights allow me to, I'll be there. We'll see about flights, though, because this weather doesn't look promising for a whole bunch of flights not being delayed. I'm hoping to be there. That is the plan.
How about the other matchups in the AFC? I think maybe the most intriguing one is that Browns one with Joe Flacco and the Texans, because C.J. Stroud looks like the goods, but I can't explain how the Browns won 11 games, but I also take them serious because of the quality of wins they have on their schedule.
Well, I think a tricky thing with the Browns is they were run so poorly for so many years that it's hard to take them seriously, even though they're clearly run very well now. So I think they're very good. And now, obviously, we haven't seen them play a real game in 2 weeks, right? Because they didn't play last week.
Right.
No.
They played, but their players didn't play. So it'll be interesting to see how the bye affects them, where the Texans went and played a playoff game, which I think will actually help them that they played in a game like that going into a playoff game. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, the script, so to speak, would probably like Joe Flacco returning to Baltimore. I think that'd probably be good for the NFL. But C.J. Stroud is really lighting it up, and him and the young receivers that they got, like they've got a really good team. You never know what could happen, especially a home playoff game.
You know the AFC East really well, being a Jets fan, and Chiefs fans were hoping Pittsburgh was coming to Kansas City, and still. Instead, I should say, Pittsburgh, of course, is going to Buffalo. When you watch what the Bills have been the last, 6 weeks or so, and finding a way to, after all the issues they had to be the 2 seed, and then you see the Dolphins who fell on their face down the stretch and are now the 6 seed. When you look at those two teams, obviously I think we know which one everybody views as the better team, but do you think an AFC East team is going to end up representing the AFC?
Of those two teams, I would pick the Bills as to who would. I don't know if it's necessarily going to happen, but I think, you watch that game on Sunday night, and you never want to disparage one quarterback, but the difference between Josh Allen and Tua the other night was crazy, right? Like, Josh Allen makes a few mistakes, but he's able to basically take over the game there at the end because he's a threat to run. He's a threat to light you up over the top. Like, you just never know what's going to happen, where it seems like the Dolphins, to be effective, they need to go quick, get the ball out. Obviously that's what they do, but, I would pick the Bills in that situation. I would still lean towards I would take the field as opposed to an AFC East team, but hey, never know.
Vinny, might be a little different between baseball and the NFL, but I'm always curious because this weekend there are a lot of players who are taking on their former team, Tyreek in Kansas City, and then obviously both quarterbacks in that Lions-Rams matchup. The Rams ditched Goff. He gets to go back and take on them, and then Stafford was obviously traded from the Lions. Do players pay a lot of attention to the, I'm going to get the old squad in professional sports? That's just a thing we talk about.
I think there's a percentage of it, but I think it's a low percentage because a lot of times you're still friends with guys on the team. So you don't have it, you might have ill will towards the organization, but not the guys you're playing against. So maybe a little bit. I don't see Stafford coming in with revenge because they kind of let him. He kind of wanted that, it seemed like a mutual decision. The Goff thing is interesting because they basically said, hey, you took us to the Super Bowl, you lost, you didn't score any points, you were bad, get out of here. So that's a real interesting one where I would think he would have a little bit more motivation just because of the way that was handled. Not that it was handled, poorly or whatever, it clearly worked out for the Rams, and the Lions have been pretty good since that trade too. So I think there might be a little bit of extra there, but sometimes when you play with a little extra motivation, it doesn't necessarily work out the way you want it to. So hopefully Goff just plays within the game, within the scheme, and they have a home. That place is going to be electric on what day do they play? Sunday night? That place is going to be electric.
Yeah, 30 years for them to wait for an opportunity to have that home playoff game and obviously have something like that take place. We're talking to our VinFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino. Now, I don't care how the regular season predictions went. It's a new slate for everybody, Vinny. So right now, let me ask you before Super Bowl Wild Card Weekend, what's the AFC-NFC title game matchup, and who's going to the Super Bowl?
Wow. Well, in the NFC, I'd be able to answer that better. I think it's going to be the Cowboys at the Niners. I know that a lot of times the 1-2 doesn't happen. I just think those two teams are good. And also the Cowboys haven't lost at home this year, so just going to keep going off of that. So they're just going to win their 2 games at home and then go to San Francisco. And then in the AFC, man, you're really putting me in a tough spot here.
You know who the audience in which you're speaking to, but also people like honesty.
And if it makes you feel any better, I mean, we were having a conversation on the show, too, where it's like the goal is always the Super Bowl. I think Chiefs fans' expectation now, honestly, is potentially a win this weekend, but a loss at Buffalo. Like, that's not what fans want to have happen, but I don't think that would surprise anybody.
Yeah, well, I think what I appreciate about Kansas City is people are pretty, they're into their sports, and for the most part, they're pretty realistic, other than the few people you see on Twitter all the time. But every city has those people anyway. So, nobody's doubting Mahomes, guys. Nobody. Not one person is doubting him. Not one. There isn't one person other than to maybe get ratings. That's it. I think you go up to Buffalo, and that becomes an interesting game because I can't even picture those two teams playing in Buffalo. I can't visually see it in my head because I've seen it at Arrowhead so many times. So I think it'll be interesting, those two teams playing up there. I was at a playoff game in Buffalo last year. The place is nuts, but not that is going to surprise any Chiefs fan because it's nuts at Arrowhead too. So that'll be a fun one. I'm not going to make a prediction in the AFC. I'm not going to do it.
I still think the biggest thing that gets me with the Bills is, do I actually think Josh Allen can go 3 straight games without shooting himself in the foot?
Well, but the thing is he can shoot himself in the foot, but then come back from it. I didn't get to see Brett Favre play a whole lot just because I was young, so I don't really remember it. But I imagine it was the same thing, right? He'll throw 3 picks, but then he'll drive you down the field for a game winner. I think the thing is, if he shoots himself in the foot, can they stay close? Because if it stays close, they got a shot. And same thing with the Chiefs. If the game's close, you got a shot.
And the Bills have won 5 in a row. So I mean, and he's made mistakes during those 5 games, right? So I mean, I guess he's already proven that can happen as well. Anyway.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about the NFL, though, is the Steelers were, 11-0 a few years ago, and everybody kind of knew it was, maybe not necessarily the realest thing. Same thing with the Eagles this year. It's how many times are you going to win these games where you probably shouldn't? Because you might need to lose them in order to get better from them. So maybe the Bills fall into that trap a little bit, or maybe they just end up being really good. It's so weird, though, going from what could be the 2 seed to the 7 seed. Playoffs are so funny in that regard.
Well, hopefully the flights work out and you make it to KC and go to Arrowhead. I'm sure you got the cold weather gear ready to go, though. You better, because it's going to be pretty miserable out there.
Yeah, I'm locked in, and if I see anybody shirtless or anything out there, I'm immediately going to think you're nuts. So I'm expecting to see a lot of Carhartt and boots on the ground this weekend.
I'm calling for no fake tough guy. No reason to be I don't even feel the cold. You do. It's fine.
Well,
put a jacket
what's
on.
Crazy? I was talking to a lifelong Chiefs fan yesterday, and he might be listening to this because I think that's his job to listen to when one of us speaks publicly, especially. And he said he probably isn't going to the game this weekend because of the weather. And I said, can you imagine, or he even said it, can you imagine if I was 10 years old saying this right now, that we've been to so many playoff games that I'm willing to not go to one because of the weather?
We're spoiled, Vinny. We're spoiled now when it comes to the Chiefs. No doubt about that. But anyway, hope you make it out to Arrowhead, and we'll check in next week.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you got it. Vinnie Pasquantino. He joins us every Tuesday as our VinFL insider. Smart man, not willing to give the clear answer on the AFC representative.
That means he doesn't think it's going to be the Chiefs. If it's the Chiefs, he just say Chiefs.
That's right. By the way, don't fault him or anybody whatsoever if you're not picking the Chiefs to come out of the AFC. They're more than understandable.
Do you think there'll be anyone? Nationally?
Not nationally, no. There are people here locally, I'm sure, but nationally?
Well, I assume Bob has already picked them to win the Super Bowl. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I presume.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Jeff Saturday was just on First Take and put the Browns and the Bills as better teams than the Chiefs. He wasn't even in the top 5. So.
In fairness, I did see Mina Kimes say that she expects him to play in the AFC Championship game.
I saw that clip.
So she's willing to go that far with it. Friend of the show, Mina Kimes. She's been on the show a couple of times. Been a few years.
Are we still friends? We have long lost friends.
Yeah,
at this point.
It's like friends in a
because I think in order to be a friend of the show, not only do they have to be on multiple times, but they have to be in communication. Once a year.
That's fair.
At some point, you lose the front of the show title. I'm sure she'll be just fine with not having that title associated with us.
You know what? I'm going to text her. I'm going to see if she is willing to come on this show again. She once did. Probably come on the show a couple of times. She's a little busier now. I think she's got a kid. That's a whole nother element to just like the busyness level, I'm sure, for her. And she's gotten
people have blown up. Yeah, people have blown up.
Since she was originally on this show.
Hey, people,
It's like Kyle Brandt,
Same thing.
Came on the show pretty regularly for a while, but then Kyle Brandt's
he's a star.
needle started
He's a
pointing
star.
further up. He's a star. He's very good on this show. I'm sure he's going to be at some Buffalo playoff game.
Thinking of Buffalo, too, that is potentially, as we know, a divisional round matchup if the Chiefs take care of business this weekend and if the Bills take care of business against the Steelers as well, and you start looking at the path. I understand we realize they got to handle Saturday first, but let's bear with me for a second and look to the future. The path for the Chiefs could not be worse.
It's the hardest in the NFL. I went through everybody's seeded playoff bracket. Nobody would have a worse run than that, and they get a home game.
Home to Miami. And this is if seeding holds, and there can be upsets, but if seeding holds, home to 6 seed Miami, most likely at 2 seed Buffalo, and if Baltimore handles their business, at 1 seed Baltimore in the AFC title game. Don't worry about the Super Bowl. Worry about that path. That path right there.
Well, if they get through that path, I'm going to start thinking they're winning the Super Bowl.
Well, if they
could be against San Francisco, and I think they're going to win it if they get through that.
I think there's one game that flips everything. If the Chiefs beat the Dolphins and then they were to go to Buffalo and beat the Bills, then I do think they're beating the Ravens in Baltimore.
Wow. So
yeah.
the second they get past Buffalo,
I'll jump on board if that happens. Yeah.
I was looking through everyone else, all right, Dallas and Green Bay. Well, Jordan Love's playing pretty good. I mean, I could see why that could be a tough matchup, and then maybe you do it. And then they got to take on the Lions at home, a team that can certainly beat them, but they're undefeated at home. That changes everything. They would hypothetically get 2 home games. It's not San Francisco. San Francisco gets to sit on their hands, and then if it went to seed, they'd get the Bucs. Even if it didn't go to seed, they'd get a banged-up Eagles squad or a Rams team that has had a nice year, but that you're definitively better than and more talented than. Just go through the teams, even the lower-seeded teams. Let's say if it went to seed, except for you kept winning. All right, you're the Packers. You get the upset. What's your benefit? You get to travel to San Francisco? Okay, that's pretty brutal. Maybe them is the only team who'd have a more difficult one if for some reason they broke seed. But the Chiefs' playoff path is the biggest reason why what we said to start the show is partially true. It is that is a hard way to go about business. I will say this. I do not think Buffalo is significantly better than the Chiefs. I don't think they're better than the Chiefs. I think they're the same. I don't think they're any better or any worse. They've lost a lot of games. They've lost some games that are inexplainable, more than even the Raiders lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Patriots.
The unknown is just that game, of course, would be in Buffalo. And really for the first time, because the last time they played there was the COVID year.
Oh, I was going to say.
That COVID year, remember the weird Wednesday or Tuesday game, and there was no fans there.
And there was a million people with
COVID. And the Chiefs
ran
stuff. Clyde Edwards-Helaire to death, and he was awesome. And the offensive line dominated. That was many years
I went back through and looked at that Buffalo game a little bit because that would at least give me some sort of indication of what I think about these two teams. Because that's not that long ago. I'll be honest. These two teams are not playing dramatically different since the last time they played each other because the Chiefs just generally haven't changed much across the board during that time. They had no Isaiah Pacheco, and James Cook absolutely torched them in the receiving game. And it was 20-17, and as you all remember, a pretty big call there late in the game. The Chiefs-Bills game, what's so fascinating about it, the reason why they can win that game, Gold, is I can just tell you right now that game's going to have almost an identical score to the first one. It is going to be like 20-17 or 21-17, and so is the Ravens game. If the Chiefs are even making a run through the playoffs like this, they're all gonna be 17-14, 20-17, 21-17, at max, 24-21?
Yeah.
Like the Miami game could look a little different, but the Buffalo Ravens game feel like those are the scores.
If you were wondering, did seeding hold up last year, right? We know it was 6-3. Cincinnati beat the 6-seed Baltimore a year ago. 2-seed Buffalo beat 7-seed Miami a year ago. 4-seed Jacksonville had to come back, but they beat 5-seed LA a year ago. Then in the divisional round, the 3-seed Bengals beat the 2-seed Bills. The Chiefs were the one they held on against Jacksonville. We know the Chiefs beat Cincinnati in the AFC title game. So there was, one upset in the playoffs last year. One game where the seeding didn't hold true, and that was the 3-seed being the 2. I was just curious. Looked at last year if you're wondering how often does seeding hold true.
What about on the NFC side?
On the NFC side last year, though, the 5-seed Dallas beat the 4-seed Tampa. The 2 seed beat the 7 seed. The 6 seed Giants beat the 3 seed Vikings. And then after that, it was chalk, with the Eagles as the 1 beating the Giants, and then the Niners as the 2 beating the 5. And obviously Philly blew out San Francisco. And then we know the Chiefs played the Eagles in the old Super Bowl last year.
2 years ago, because again, this just gives us some historical element. The only thing that didn't go to seed in the divisional round was, once again, Cincinnati beating Buffalo. In the divisional round, they were the lower seeded team, but still got the win against that. And then when you got to, or that was in the divisional round, not in the wild card, but in the divisional round. So, it feels like there's a pretty common theme amongst those, right? When we
the one thing I just don't like, I don't see how on earth the Steelers have any chance to beat Buffalo, though.
No.
Like, that's the one where, like, we could talk about upsets and
zero.
The playoffs are great; they're not predictable, but that's the one where how on earth is Mason Rudolph going into Buffalo and beating the Bills? Come on now.
It's hard to imagine.
The only way that it happens is if the Bills do what they have done at times throughout the season and just completely shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, can Pittsburgh score enough? I know they got Najee Harris going a little bit more recently, but like if Buffalo's up at all, if it's 10, let's say it's 10-3, 10-0 even, one possession game, 10-3. I just don't know if the Steelers can.
If they're down 10-3?
Yeah, I just don't know if the Steelers have to be either in the lead or it has to be a tight game. I just don't think they're capable of coming back. That's my problem with them.
Mm-hmm. I will say this. I think either team that is likely to face Baltimore based on that seeding conversation can beat them. I don't think Baltimore's so much better that they can't lose to the Texans or lose to Cleveland. One, they have already lost to Cleveland, so I have evidence they lost to Cleveland in Baltimore. So they've lost to the Browns in Baltimore, and that wasn't even a game like we're joking about Joe Flacco as their fourth quarterback. They lost it when it was P.J. Walker.
Yeah,
if you're wondering, the Steelers,
so
they can definitely lose that game.
The Steelers won their final 3 games against the Ravens team that had backups, against the Seahawks team. That was actually more impressive because the Seahawks were trying to win. And then, of course, to Cincinnati. They also lost to the Cardinals 24-10 and the Patriots 21-18 in the last month.
They're so hit or miss.
Yeah, and
it is going to be Rudolph because I know that the whole Kenny Pickett thing.
I don't know how on earth it's not. I don't know how on earth it's not Rudolph, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how you go back to Pickett for this game.
Is Pickett healthy? Is he healthy where if Rudolph went down, he could play?
I believe he was in uniform or whatever, or could be in uniform.
Because remember, the rumor was that he wasn't going to dress as the number 2 quarterback, but he did.
Yeah.
And he said that rumor was false. But yes, he would hypothetically be available. God, you know how mediocre you have to be at quarterback for a team to be like, look, I don't think we can go back from Mason Rudolph now. I mean, because it wouldn't matter if Blaine Gabbert won a bunch of games and got the Chiefs to the postseason. If Patrick Mahomes was healthy,
of course,
for the first round of the playoffs, that man would play.
Yeah.
Well, there's like 10 quarterbacks that would, 15 quarterbacks that there'd be no question. Dak Prescott to be out there, even if Cooper Rush was winning, even though I remember kind of briefly.
A year ago, or was that a year ago, 2 years ago?
A couple of years ago. 20 of the 32 quarterbacks, right, or whatever, would be immediately in there. You just got to be as bad as Kenny Pickett for them to be like, Mason Rudolph's our guy.
Sometimes I don't get the fear of the Bills at all. I'm just talking about the Steelers and the Bills game. We can. I'm talking specifically about. I don't know how on earth the Steelers go into Buffalo and beat the Bills. That's all. It's more about the Steelers and the Bills. I just don't know. The same way we all wanted Pittsburgh to come here. Because it'd be like, how on earth are the Steelers winning that game? I just don't see it.
That'd be a nice upset. I'll be honest. I'd be very happy with that result.
I will gladly be wrong. You can play back I will gladly be wrong about the Steelers beating going in and beating the Bills and saying that couldn't have happened. I will gladly be that because that means the Chiefs obviously have a much easier path.
And ironically enough, didn't the Steelers beat the Ravens as well earlier this year?
Because I think much earlier when Pickett was playing, I think.
They would go and play Baltimore, correct? Since they're the 17th?
If the Chiefs won, the Bills, if the Chiefs won and the Steelers won, then the Steelers would go to Baltimore and the Chiefs would host the winner of the Texans. And
another game that I would assume the Steelers aren't winning.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Technically, the Steelers just beat the Ravens, in a game in which Tyler Huntley started.
Backups all over
those divisional games, man. You never know.
But they beat him 17-10 both times. They beat him in October. The Steelers are a weird team. They're just well coached. Don't think about it any harder than this.
Tomlin, yeah.
They're well coached. They're incredibly well coached, so they win games that they don't have business winning.
I also mentioned no TJ Watt in the game.
Sucks.
I mean,
is he an important player?
Turns out he's pretty good. 19 sacks this year. Led the league. 19 sacks. TJ Watt's incredible. All right. Up next, though, let's get our Chiefs insider's opinion on the Chiefs matchup against the Dolphins. And, looking ahead a little bit with our guy, Nate Taylor from The Athletic.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every weekday starting at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Even though I'm turning a year older later on in the week, I'm seeing better than I ever have before, thanks to DuraVision. Back in May of 2021, I went in for my free consultation and found out for the first time that I was a candidate for LASIK. I had been told in the past that, yeah, your eyes, the technology, it's probably not something that you're eligible for. Well, your eyes change, technology changes, and you're working with the best in Kansas City. At least that's what I told myself after I had a great experience throughout my consultation with Dr. Lindquist. They had all kinds of photos and models they showed me to come up with a vision plan that was catered to me in particular. They don't go with just a one-size-fits-all approach. And what if I told you that there's savings that you usually can't have right now? That's because they've opened up their friends and family promotion for a limited time only. It's typically reserved for family members of their surgery patients only. So what does that mean? Right now, you can get savings up to $1,000 on LASIK for a limited time only. Head to DuraVision.com for your free consultation. Give them a call at 913-491-3330 and tell them Gold from 610 sent you.
BetMGM, authorized gaming partner of the NBA, invites you to be a major baller this season. Here's your opportunity for a fast break at BetMGM. Whether your wager ends up being nothing but net or not. Right now, existing customers can log into their account and receive an NBA Bet Insurance token. Simply log into your already created account to receive a token. Add a wager on any NBA game to your bet slip and activate the token. If your wager is an air ball with the token attached, you'll receive your stake back in bonus bets, up to $25. Don't miss out on turning an air ball into a major rebound with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. BetMGM.com for T's and C's. 21 plus to wager. Kansas only. Existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Hi, it's Trey Smith, and in order for our team to get a victory, we need honesty, teamwork, work ethic, humility, and the golden rule. That's why my truck is from the dealer that embodies all those values, Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. And Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram also supports Giving Hope, whose sole purpose is to feed and clothe the needy in Wyandotte County and beyond. Giving back in the highest integrity, that's how Jeff and his team do business. For your next vehicle, visit or go to VictoryChryslerDodgeJeepRam.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
Josh Klingler here. Join me at the Hy-Vee in Shawnee from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Thursday. We'll be giving you a chance to win 4 tickets, a parking pass to this weekend's playoff game, plus a $100 Visa gift card from Hy-Vee. Come by and check out the gigantic Hy-Vee Supercart. Scan the QR code and get registered to win.
Get excited for game day. There's nothing better than getting together with your buddies in an ice-cold Bud Light beer. Celebrate being part of the team with Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Stop by Buffalo Wild Wings for some refreshing Bud Light beers and some games. Sunday, January 14th, leading up to kickoff at 3:30 p.m. at 20110 East Jackson Drive, Independence, Missouri. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Wholesale batteries for all your battery needs. Lithium batteries for your motorcycle and ATVs. Lithium has superior power density with a longer life when compared to lead acid. Speak with Wholesale Batteries today on how you can benefit from lithium batteries.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, Visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Get the home field advantage every time with Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. Whether you're a student athlete working toward your championship dreams or your team's biggest fan, Fairfield by Marriott has everything you need to get ready for game day. From comfortable guest rooms to complimentary hot breakfast. Fairfield is part of the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio of hotels and official hotel partner of the NCAA. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your next game day stay.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
NFL playoff coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views. Patrick Mahomes joins CDOT Mondays at 3:10. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Coming up in about 45 minutes, we will head out to Arrowhead. Going to hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, also Chris Jones. Playoff week in KC. We got our big playoff Pilsner beer release party Friday night out at Cinder Block Brewery. Third year we've been doing this. It starts at 6. The entire 610 crew will be there. Dusty will be doing his after-hours show starting at 6 as well. And we'll have some good food from F325 Barbecue. Fantastic tailgate food. Looking forward to that. Hopefully weather clears out and weather Friday holds off and all that. But we'll keep you updated. No matter what, I can tell you the event's happening. So if you're wondering, the event is happening. We had confirmation yesterday. The event, I don't care what. Basically, we were told it's happening no matter what.
So I'll be there.
We'll be there.
Honestly, I live the closest.
You live close. Yeah, for you, it's not
fantastic news for me.
We'll see. We'll be monitoring the situation on Friday. Monitoring all things Chiefs is our guy, Nate Taylor from The Athletic, who joins us here a little earlier than normal with all the revised scheduling with the playoff week and everything like that. How you doing, Nate? Have you gone outside yet? Have you tried to drive yet?
Oh, what's up, fellas? I've been driving all morning. It's been excellent. Had an appointment that I didn't foresee this being the weather.
You mean 3 months ago when you booked it, you didn't know it was going to be a snowstorm?
Yeah. I didn't know it was going to be a snowstorm. But no, man, I've been fine. The roads are pretty good. Everybody's behaving themselves accordingly. I haven't seen any wild, reckless behaviors behind the wheel of a car. But no, I've been doing all right. I got my coffee, and I'm here at the facility, just eager to see who's going to practice, who isn't going to practice. My assumption is right now that the team is probably going to practice today indoors, since it's still obviously this is the heaviest the snowfall should be this week. And then hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, they'll have a chance to practice outside tomorrow and Thursday in preparation for a frigid wild card game against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you mentioned finding out who's practicing as well. I mean, timeline, Cody and I were talking about this. Saturday game, how is Wanya Morris getting cleared from concussion protocol by then, which means Donovan Smith hasn't played in, 5 weeks with this neck stinger?
Correct.
I feel like Donovan Smith is going to have to play on Saturday.
And what's interesting about this is Donovan Smith participated in a practice early last week and then didn't for the remaining last two, I believe. So technically, if my memory is correct, I think Donovan Smith was a limited participant on Wednesday, and then they sort of scaled him down because they knew he wasn't obviously going to play in the season finale against the Chargers. So, again, we'll see. When it comes to Wanya Morris, you can make the argument that he was a better player over these last 5 games than the last 5 games you saw out of Donovan Smith. But, of course, he's never played in the playoffs, and Donovan Smith has played in the playoffs. So, again, it's all very fascinating. Obviously, we're going to monitor it as the week goes along. But in terms of the concussion protocol, this is going to be one of those. I mean, Wanye would have to sort of already be trending in a positive direction today, right? Because you do have to do the on-field activities. Your baseline has to stay, pretty consistent once you're in the protocol. And in order to get out of it, my belief is he would probably have to be cleared on Saturday morning, which means he would not have taken any real reps alongside his teammates, like O'Toole and Creed Humphrey. Like, you can do football activities, but that's usually on an individual basis. As you're sort of ramping back up to get clear from the protocol, doesn't necessarily mean that you are taking your normal amount of reps. So if he was available, if he did clear concussion protocol on Saturday, it'd be one of those unusual circumstances where he really hasn't practiced the way he would normally do in preparation for the most important game of his young professional career.
Nate, how big of a deal do you make about the weather thing as it relates to Miami? I mean, we can cite a million different stats. I think they're 0-10 in their last 10 games below 40 degrees. Tua's record isn't good in games below 40 degrees. We used to talk about this a lot with Derek Carr, but how hard is it for a team like Miami, a warm weather team, to come into Arrowhead and play? And I think it's supposed to be minus 10-degree wind chill.
Yeah, this is going to be the coldest game I've ever covered, guys. So when you start trying to get your mind right, and look, I know the field had a nice filtration system, right? It's not going to be what it was. And I always like to remind people, like, go watch the 1995 divisional playoff game between the Chiefs and the Colts.
Playing on a sheet of ice.
That field is ice, okay? And the fact that they played that game in that condition was one of the reasons, I know, the quarterback and the kicker, who shall not be named, played a role. But the field literally played a role because you couldn't move the football in the second half. So, yes, they have heated benches now. Like, there's so much better technology to prepare yourself for this type of environment. But you cannot simulate it in Miami Gardens. You just can't. So, for the Chiefs, they're going to get the advantage because they're going to practice, like I said, either tomorrow or Thursday, in similar conditions. It won't be as cold as obviously Saturday night, but at least they'll be somewhat accustomed to it. And, of course, we've seen Patrick Mahomes play excellent in playoff games where obviously it's cold. Not as cold as obviously Saturday, but we have a track record. There really is no track record for the Miami Dolphins. And what's crazy about all this, too, is I think people are still going to be unconscionably loud because it's the first time Tyreek Hill is walking in that building wearing another team's jersey. So it's not like, there might be some concern about the energy level of the attention of focus if they were going to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Because we've seen that, and they will be playing another backup quarterback in Mason Rudolph, honestly. But because it's Miami, because they played them already this year, I think it's a massive advantage for the Chiefs because all Steve Spagnuolo has to do is take away the first option. If we make him hold the ball and Jalen Waddle is not 100% healthy, even though we do expect him to play in this game, then how is he going to be able to throw the football down the field in this type of weather conditions, in these type of temperatures? And, one way to negate speed is to play in an ice box. And that's basically what they're going to be in on Saturday.
We're talking to Nate Taylor, our Chiefs insider from The Athletic, looking just at Miami and where they're at as a team, too. I mean, you mentioned Waddle already, who's banged up, even if he's trending towards playing. I mean, they lost Bradley Chubb a few weeks ago. They got Jalen Phillips. They also, I think, lost, I don't know what the latest with Van Ginkel as well, one of their linebackers. Whatever. I mean, this is not the same Miami team, even from just a pure health standpoint.
Yeah, and so I know this isn't going to be like a glamorous take, but the player who scares me the most is probably their rookie running back, Achane, because he's healthy, he's very fast, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's not going to be guarded by Trent McDuffie or L'Jarius Sneed the way Tyreek Hill is going to be. So the Dolphins are going to walk into Arrowhead with very limited options, with a quarterback, by the way, who's never played in the postseason. I think that's also something that you have to consider, too, is like you gain experience along the way, and they made the playoffs last year, but because of Tua's head injuries and his concussions, he couldn't be able to play. So you're asking him to go to Arrowhead in freezing temperatures and lead the team, past the first round of the playoffs. But it's hard to it's hard to do because they don't have the defense that they had, right? I think their defense was really trending in a positive direction. They might not have Xavier Howard for this game. He's their best cornerback, despite Jalen Ramsey getting their Pro Bowl honor because he's Jalen Ramsey, I guess. Jalen Ramsey has not been good this season, guys. I do want to make that very clear. But no Bradley Chubb, no Jalen Phillips, no Van Inkel. Like, their defense is decimated. So for the Chiefs, it's just a matter of being disciplined with, the lack of penalties. You don't want to have that many penalties to back you up. You obviously want to run the football. This is an Isaiah Pacheco game if there was ever one to have in postseason. And, don't turn the football over. Like, if you do that, you're going to have chances to move the football on this defense because, unfortunately, they're getting into the playoffs without their nucleus on that side of the football, which, again, puts the burden even more on Tua's shoulders.
He's one of the few guys I would actually still ask us about because otherwise I wouldn't even ask the question based on how well they've done this year. But can they stop Tyreek 2 times in a row? I wouldn't normally ask that, Nate, based on how well they've done against pretty much every elite wide receiver this year. Tyreek is an exception because he has an exceptional talent.
Yes, but I do think they can, right? And they could at least make it mucky for Tua, right? This is one of those games where if I'm Steve Spagnuolo, I'm leaning heavily in Tyreek's favor, and I'm asking, okay, Jalen Waddle, you're out here. We know you have an injury as well. We know you're not 100%. Go beat us, okay? Who's the Dolphins tight end? Does anybody know? What's his name?
Gesicki? No, he's not even there anymore. I don't even know who the hell he is.
Not even there. So, can the Dolphins tight end beat us? And again, I think Drew Tranquill has to be on the field all the time because Achane coming out of the backfield, I think, is their best weapon, not named Tyreek Hill. So, there's a chance that L'Jarius Sneed with a week off, obviously he had a calf injury that he was dealing with the last time we saw him against the Cincinnati Bengals. You would think that would be, that injury would not be as significant as it was a couple weeks ago. Trey McDuffie is obviously still excellent in coverage. So you have two options to try to negate Tyreek Hill. And sure, he might have a highlight or two, but what you just don't want him to do is be that guy who has over 100 yards, who has 2 touchdowns. You want to sort of limit him because, again, this has been the book on Tua. Let them get behind. Don't make them be a, two-dimensional team. Make them one-dimensional, which obviously eliminates the running game, which I think is still some of their best, some of their best plays are still when they have some creative misdirection on the running game alongside that sort of zone running attack that they have. Obviously, that's a major component of the Shanahan offense that they're sort of using and leaning on. But if Tua has to throw the ball 50 times in, sub-freezing temperatures, it's not going to be great. Even if he does have Tyreek Hill, because, again, the Chiefs have one of the best secondaries in the league, and that's one of the reasons why they're having a home playoff game and the Dolphins are not. The Dolphins secondary is not good. And it's one of the reasons why Josh Allen, despite throwing 2 interceptions on Sunday, was still very effective because there were holes and advantages to take all over the field. So I think the secondary can do it again because they really haven't let anybody be a game wrecker all season from the wide receiver position.
I know there's not much at all you can take from a Week 18 game against the Chargers where it was backups all over the place, but McCole Hardman got 100% of the snaps, I believe, on the Chiefs offense, and working him back in. Do you take anything from that performance? Is that a sign that he's going to get some snaps from anybody else, or was that just, hey, look, he's playing in Week 18 and we needed somebody out there?
It's both, but I would answer your question with one that I've really thought about, fellas. McCole Hardman or Kadarius Toney? Who do you want?
McCole
Who do
Hardman.
you want on the field?
Yeah, got to be Hardman. Yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. I mean, Kadarius Toney is a glimmering, shiny talent, but he's been injured and he's been ineffective at times when obviously he's been on the field. The Chiefs are the 3 seed largely because of Kadarius Toney. You never want to put it on one person because it's a team sport. But I don't know, y'all. This is like the best example we've had in a long time. Where if he just catches one of those balls against the Detroit Lions, and if he just lines up properly, they probably win 2 games. So I do think that the one thing you can take on offense, well, I would say 2 things. It was very nice of them that they got to see what Blaine Gabbert could do in the offense against, NFL-ish competition, right? Just so that he's not coming off extremely cold if he is required to play like we all saw Chad Henne have to do last season in the postseason as well. So I think that's a major plus. And secondly, yeah, they got McCole Hardman in rhythm. They know what routes he can run. They know he has a good relationship with the quarterback. It's one of the reasons why they traded for him. And right now he's healthier, more reliable, and honestly more efficient than Kadarius Toney. So I do think McCole Hardman's your 5th receiver for this game. You still have Justin Watson. You still have Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Rashee Rice. Obviously, Travis Kelce's your number 1 sort of pass catcher. And you can sprinkle in Justin Ross if you would like. But I do think there's a role for McCole Hardman because at least it forces the defense to honor his speed. And you can either use that as a decoy or you can use that to sort of stretch the field horizontally just as much as vertically with obviously the jet sweeps, the counters, the end arounds. Obviously, he can line up in the backfield if he would like. He can kind of do some things that Jerick McKinnon can do if Jerick McKinnon is not available for this game, that being McCole Hardman. So he played well. I know he had a couple drops against the Chargers, but again, that's a little bit of working with Blaine Gabbert and just trying to get back into the feel of you're playing every snap. So it's a good experience, and I do think he's earned a role for this game if the Chiefs need him on a critical 3rd down or if they need him for some creativity in the red zone.
Last thing for me, Nate, since I think Andy Reid will probably get asked about it anyway, Mike Florio once again floating out the possibility of the end of an era for Andy Reid. I've never gotten a sense that he was close to the end. Do you think he is?
What's that man going to do? What is he going to do?
I don't know, man. He'd get bored real fast.
What you going to do, Coach? Coach, this is all you know, Coach. I'm sorry, does Andy Reid still work with the most talented quarterback in the league? No. I have heard. I have not heard anything to suggest that Andy Reid is, considering retirement. I think Andy Reid is an optimistic but also realistic person in understanding that, sure, he's got a nice contract. He's got a nice job. They continue to win. He's got much of the personnel in place. Now, that may be disrupted a little bit because guys like Brent Tillis and Mike Berganzi, hell, who knows? They may get plucked for once, finally, by another franchise. But for the most part, things are in place for stability and success. Andy Reid's health has not really been an issue this season. I like to remind people, too, that it was coming off of last training camp where we sort of knew that he had another, sort of lower body procedure. He wasn't walking around as great. He was sort of trying to, get 100% healthy. It hasn't. Obviously, there was a whole COVID scare based on people of a certain age, and he's obviously fit that category. But this year, there really hasn't been any health issues that I can tell or that anyone has, sort of explained to me in the organization. So I think he'll be the coach next season. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm a respectable journalist. I try to give people plenty of respect and understand that we have a difficult job from a communication standpoint because, we're asked to communicate in the best way possible in a speedy manner, right? We don't always get the amount of time we want. So I'm not necessarily questioning Florio, but I kind of am. And I think last year with Jay Glazer was a great example, guys, where Jay Glazer asked him, and Andy was like, dude, he was like the 40th, 50th, 60th person to ask me, how long am I going to keep doing this? I was like, I don't know. Maybe this is it. He's like, he finally folded, and Jay Glazer was like, we got him, Whereas you would normally say, hey, let's have another follow-up. Let's are you sure? What are you exactly saying, Andy? But so in some cases, it's like, hey, Jay Glazer wasn't wrong because Andy Reid told him something, but also he wasn't right because Andy Reid wasn't definitive. So it's all conjecture and hilariousness and silly. It's not even a storyline. The best part, like if this was an interesting storyline, I mean, okay, but you guys are right. Maybe someone will ask it. I won't, because I'm with Andy every day, and I mean he loves this. And again, I have no idea what he would do if he wasn't coaching in the NFL, and he's one of the best coaches in the league. So he's got the job he wants. So I mean, obviously it's up to him and his prerogative, but I don't see it, fellas.
All right, we will not be listening to Nate Taylor at 11:45. Ask Andy Reid that question. Nate, appreciate it, man, and we'll check it next week. Hopefully, still talking about this team in the playoffs and maybe heading back to Buffalo.
Fellas, there's only been a small amount of stadiums that I have yet to be in, and this is largely because of COVID reasons and just the way the NFL schedule comes out. One of those stadiums is Buffalo.
There you go.
You're telling me if they win, I get to see Patrick Mahomes' first true road playoff game in the conference be in snowy Buffalo? Sign me up. I'm there. I want to be there so bad. But yeah, hopefully, the season will still continue. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. But I mean, if it's going to be like this on Saturday, how is Buffalo the better alternative in round 2?
Definitely is potentially the case. Nate Taylor from The Athletic. He joins us every Tuesday here on Cody and Gold. And again, we'll hear from Andy and Patrick Mahomes along with Chris Jones coming up at 11:45.
Trash of the day.
All right, so we go to the UK for this one. And it has to do with some New Year's Eve festivities. I guess the article is from the UK. I apologize. It's an Alabama party goer, but the article in front of me is from a newspaper for whatever reason in the UK. And it talks about, hey, New Year's Eve festivities. Look, things get a little crazy sometimes on New Year's Eve. You get a little alcohol going. You never know what's going to happen. And maybe you see something and you're like, man, this looks tempting to do. This might be something I want to, let me check this out. Maybe this is something I can mess with. In this case, we're talking about what must have been a giant urn. And let me just play you the audio of the news story.
I'm stuck. You're not going to be able to get out. You're going to be there. I'm stuck.
This guy is stuck in the urn. He thought it was a good idea to go inside.
Yeah, we are not breaking the fight.
No, we're going to get you out.
I'm doing everything I can. Damn it.
So he decided it was
the thickness of the southern accent that really makes it. I'm stuck. Help me, I'm stuck. So upset.
He got stuck inside an urn during a New Year's Eve festivity, and you can hear the reaction as they were trying to rescue him, apparently with a hammer and a makeshift screwdriver chisel. He got free.
Well, that's
nice. They shattered it.
Oh, that's not
and
great.
Obviously, everybody's okay.
Here's where I sympathize with this man. Before we completely mock him.
You sympathize?
I'm going to sympathize with him. I don't think it's all that uncommon.
To get inside of a...
Hold on.
What?
To wait. To walk past a big urn like that, or to walk past a big crock or container like that and be like, I bet I could fit in that.
So wait,
I don't think it's weird to have the thought. And then when alcohol gets involved, I can't be surprised that some guy might actually climb in there.
So when you go to the Nelson Atkins Art Museum... and you go there and you go to the section where they've got some pottery and things like that. You've walked by and said, man, I wonder what it'd be like if I jumped inside of this thing.
I think I've thought that thought. Have you not? Is that on?
I don't think I have. I don't think so.
I feel like it's something that it crosses your mind, and I don't know if that's just a guy thing where it's like, oh, I wonder if this would happen. And you're not seriously thinking of doing it. It's just, I wonder what would happen.
He got inside, but he got stuck. How did he get, I guess... Just the force of him jumping down into it got him in, and then he couldn't get out.
Think about how many different times in your life, you thought something, like a kid getting their head stuck between, the arms of a chair.
Sure.
Of course, you always think, if it goes in, it'll come out. Not always the case in this situation. Unfortunately for this man, he thought, if I can get in this thing, I could probably get out, and then suction took place.
Out of all
of a sudden, not so
things
fast.
to get stuck in, though, this is an easy one to get out of with help, though.
Except for it's expensive, and you're going to have to break it.
It's expensive, but I'm saying, eventually they could just chill. It's going to crack, and you're going to get out, and you're going to be okay. Yeah. So versus other things, you're seriously wondering, can you, guy gets chucked in the chimney. That's way more dangerous.
How are we getting out of that?
That's
disassemble a
you got to
chimney.
get the firefighters, and that's a lot more complicated. This one, just break the vase. or earn.
Someone says they're going to bring one on Friday night for me. You're going to bring a
to the playoff Pilsner beer release?
To the playoff Pilsner release party? If you bring one big enough for me to get
between this guy and the Bass Pro Skinny Dipper, Alabama man replacing Florida man. Did you guys see that?
That was.
What was it, last week? Jeez. This guy is at a Bass Pro and just, the Bass Pro is the big fish tank or whatever, aquarium, fish tank, whatever. And this dude decided to take a little dip.
I wonder what the temperature was of that water.
Well, judging by the video, very cold.
Yes.
Let's leave it at that. Very cold.
Well, that could just be his natural state of being, right?
Well, that'd be unfortunate.
Very.
But I think that water was cold. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Very cold water for that guy in the Bass Pro Shop.
Why would you do that? Just what would possess
Which one?
you?
The Bass Pro? Or both? I mean, the Bass Pro one's 1,000 times worse because you're getting a decent exposure on top of it as well.
Yeah.
He got escorted out by police.
Again, another one where I think if you were keeping your clothes on, I don't think it'd be a weird thought to be like, I wonder what would happen if I, just like how, Fountain Lady ends up in there in Kaufman.
Yeah.
A lot of people have sat out there at Kaufman and thought, what would happen if I got in the fountains?
Very dangerous, by the way.
And then if you start drinking
There's
enough.
spikes in that thing.
Yeah, no, they really don't want you in there. It's not a safe place to be walking around. Someone said it's like the Salvation Army red pot at the Cowboys Stadium.
Well, Zeke jumped into that. That's a little bit different. That's a big enough pot. You're getting out.
Didn't they hide? They hid the turkey legs in there, too.
Is that right?
As well, I think, because Dak
he did.
They ran in there and whoever scored pulled out a bunch of turkey legs for everybody to eat.
That's good. That's a good one. I didn't know that. Yeah, man.
It's a great hiding spot. There's no doubt about it.
That is the trash of the day. Reminder, coming up about 20 minutes, we head out to Arrowhead. Going to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. But let's talk about what actual expectations are for this Chiefs team. And let's not forget what we all said the goal and really the successful season was just about 6 months ago.
Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Chronic pain can be very bossy. What do I mean? It tells you what you can or can't do. Sometimes it even has the audacity to keep you from working.
I missed almost 3 weeks of work, and I was no longer able to play tennis. The pain was really debilitating sometimes. I missed Thanksgivings.
Abby was ready to put the bossy bad back in her past. And that's when she discovered QC Kinetics and their non-surgical treatments for pain. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine with tens of thousands of satisfied patients, people who have experienced real lasting relief without drugs and without surgery.
It has just been the most life-changing, amazing experience. Not only life-changing, but career-saving. I get to continue to do the career that I love. I'm playing tennis again.
Stop letting that joint pain boss you around. Start with a free consultation at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299. Hey guys, Beat Up here from Fesco in the Morning. We are at the starting gate of 2024. You're making those same New Year's resolutions that you made over and over before to lose weight. You owe it to yourself to do something different, so you're guaranteed to enjoy and achieve your weight loss goals. Do what I did. Call Slim for Life. It works. I'm telling you, I'm living proof. I'm losing pound after pound after pound, now down over 96 pounds in just a short time, and I couldn't have done it without the counseling and the accountability that Slim for Life gives you. This program is based on eating real food, and they've helped hundreds of thousands of people in Kansas City just like you that have the same struggles. Stop being disappointed with your resolution. Make 2024 the year you jump up and down and say, I finally did it. Go ahead and call and book that free consultation today. And when you tell them that you heard it from Beat Up, you could lose up to 100 pounds for only $99. 833-SLIM today. That's the number you need to call, 833-754-6863. Or you can hit them online at slim4life.com. All services included, exclusive of products. So what are you waiting for? Time to put yourself first. Be happy, be healthy, be slim for life. Make the call. Tell them Beat Up sent you.
With the new year comes new commitments. Make life easy with Old Shawnee Pizza's Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $14.99. Go to ShawneePizza.com. Old Shawnee Pizza with 3 locations, Shawnee, Lenexa, and now the Crossroads for carryout.
As good as the regular season is, there's nothing like NFL Super Wild Card Weekend. 6 games, 3 days. For these teams, it's win or go home. But you'll always have a spot in the playoffs with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W, like Travis Kelce with an anytime touchdown and the Chiefs winning on the money line. So if you want to follow my picks, go to FanDuel right now. New customers get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/610Bob to join today. That's FanDuel.com/610Bob. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Call Tax Help USA to get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005.
Last year, other dealers were charging up to $10,000 over MSRP, but those cars haven't held their value. I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. If your car is worth a lot less money than you bought it for, exchange it.
Is your car payment too much? Exchange it. Is your interest rate too high? Exchange it. Want a lower price? You guessed it. Exchange your vehicle at Volkswagen Lease Summit today. We're offering rates as low as 2.99% APR, low leases, and thousands off MSRP. Come and see us or visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Financing through VCI on approved credit.
JR and Company offers a lifetime workmanship warranty on every residential roof. Why? Because our roofers are that good. Kinda makes you wonder about the other guys. JR and Company. Home of the free online storm check at jrstormcheck.com.
Sit back and relax as you listen to the sounds of your carpet. Okay, your carpet doesn't actually make any sounds, at least not until you drop something on it, like a dreaded wine spill. But don't worry, if your carpet is life-proof with pet-proof technology, it can stand up to life's toughest stains. It also stands up to pets. It can even stand up to a third grader's birthday party. Life-proof with pet-proof technology, available only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
It's a mystery where Old Spice finds its amazing scents like Himalayan sea salt, but I'm thrilled they have because no other body wash exfoliates and moisturizes 24/7 like Old Spice Gentleman's Himalayan sea salt body wash. Now, if only there was a mountain range separating the Indian subcontinent from the Tibetan plateau where I could hide my Old Spice and keep my family from stealing it, my impossibly smooth skin will finally be safe.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit GetJim.com.
Brought to you by Gomer's. 5 locations in the KC Metro or shop online at Gomers.com.
Gomer's has all you need to celebrate the football game this Sunday. Voted KC's #1 liquor store, our mission is to offer excellent prices, selection, and service. 5 locations in the KC Metro or shop online at Gomers.com.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner, the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Well, some breaking news in the NFL. Adam Schefter moments ago tweeting out the Tennessee Titans have fired head coach Mike Vrabel. He went to had 4 straight winning seasons after becoming the head coach in 2018, but back-to-back below 500 seasons. In fact, multiple games under 500. But this is a coach that will be hired immediately. And all eyes are going to be on what happens in New England for obvious reasons, his connection there. If and when, we think it's just a matter of when, Bill Belichick ends up leaving the New England Patriots organization, I would think Mike Vrabel becomes a heavy, heavy favorite to take the Patriots job. And if for some reason Belichick out of nowhere doesn't leave, then any of these other openings, Mike Vrabel becomes a top candidate. Along with Ben Johnson, I think would become the two top candidates, putting Belichick aside there.
For a list that I don't think that it has quite as many hot offensive coordinator names as you would normally expect in a coaching cycle or former head coaches with an offensive background. There's a lot of defensive guys this year. Dan Quinn, Vrabel, right? There's some former defensive guys out there, but Vrabel's proven he can win. I know they're coming off bad years.
They've overachieved. That roster sucks in Tennessee.
Roster's awful. It was, and before, when they were going to like an AFC title game, Ryan Tannehill was their starter. Ryan Tannehill was a perfectly fine NFL quarterback, right? Very similar to like Derek Carr. Derek Carr, nobody ever got Derek Carr to an AFC title game. Managed to get Ryan Tannehill there and in an AFC divisional round game. They were competitive and in the playoffs and winning a division here and there. I assume Vrabel will get a job immediately. The funny thing about the Patriots thing is, one rumor is that if Belichick stays, Josh McDaniels is coming back.
Yeah.
Shocker of all shockers. And the other one is that the Patriots want Vrabel if Belichick's gone.
Well, they should. They should. Yeah.
I think other than Ben Johnson, who would probably be my first call because I want an offensive-minded guy personally, other than Ben Johnson, I think Vrabel would be second for me. I'd rather have him than Dan Quinn. And Dan Quinn's one of the hottest coaching names in the entire Kansas City, and so is Harbaugh. I'd still take Vrabel. Vrabel has proven an ability to win at the NFL level. I just like him as a leader. Give him a good quarterback. I think things could really
he's
different.
above 500 as a head coach, playoffs 3 times, like you said, including that AFC title game against Kansas City. And as bad as it's been the last couple of years, right? Multiple games under 500. Think about with any other coach. I think they've overachieved even with these 6 or 7 win seasons based on the roster that he's been dealing with.
Yeah.
And it's a new era in Tennessee, right? Derrick Henry was given like a senior night speech after the game.
That was wild,
they gave him
right?
a microphone. Yeah. It was like senior night at a college or something. It was kind of bizarre. So Derrick Henry's out the door. Like, you can connect the dots. If Belichick is out of New England, Vrabel becomes maybe the head coach at New England. Watch Derrick Henry end up with the Patriots next year as they bring in another young quarterback or something. I could see that. But, yeah, absolutely. Mike Vrabel will be the same way we talk about on a smaller scale. Mike Tomlin, like, hey, if the Steelers were ever dumb enough to fire him,
would jump on him in a
he'd
minute.
be hired in a second. Same thing applies here for Vrabel. And I understand, again, on a lesser scale, Vrabel hasn't won a Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin has.
This is Kevin Clark put it really well. Kevin Clark over at The Ringer. He said, the best candidate for the Titans opening is Mike Vrabel, which probably means it was a mistake to fire him. Because if right now you had a head coaching vacancy, you'd be like, Mike Vrabel's the best fit. You might have fired the guy who ends up being the best head coach candidate out of anyone made available in this cycle, unless for some reason Bill Belichick is available, which I guess is another team that could possibly open up the candidacy for that. But I mean, as far as the appealing nature of that job, you don't have a particularly good roster. You have no answer at quarterback, and they just fired a guy who had some success. I don't think I'd be jumping for joy taking the Tennessee Titans job. I'm not saying if you're Eric Bieniemy, you don't take an interview.
There's only 32 jobs in the league.
But I'm just saying that job would be pretty low on my list. It's below the Commanders. It's below Atlanta. It's below the Patriots. They also don't have a quarterback and a particularly good roster.
It's only better than the
Panthers?
Yeah,
And
Panthers.
the Panthers, the only reason why
At
it's
least
below
if you
it's-
believe in
it's-
Bryce Young, maybe take
the
that
Panthers
job.
one is interesting only because, do you want to work with Dave Tepper, right? And that's why even Brant Tillis, the Chiefs organization, from a front office perspective, who interviewed for a job there, I think, a couple years ago, but now is reportedly being requested to interview there. Like, that's the calculation you have to make. Carolina is unique because it's not just about weighing the roster. It's, do you want to have this dude as your boss? And that's the question, I think, in Carolina. But, yeah, the Titans, I do think, ultimately made a mistake here. I think the roster is in a bad spot, and they probably should hire an offensive mind. Like, I'll give them that. Like, they probably shouldn't hire it'd be the dumbest thing if you told me the Titans hired Dan Quinn. Like, that'd be the dumbest thing ever. Yeah, but if
you just hired Mike Vrabel to hire Mike Vrabel back, it's like a defensive-minded coach who's done a decent job.
But if they take a risk and hire a young offensive mind, then they got a shot. You know what I mean? Like, to get fresh perspective in there and all that. But otherwise, yeah, it's a mistake. I'm surprised. I know they're firing him.
That's where I'd go.
I know they're firing him, but I actually do think this is a rare circumstance where, like,
I don't want to be here, you don't want
it
me
was
here.
kind of mutual at the same time, where I don't think Vrabel liked the vision going forward of the organization either.
It's the Andy Reid situation. Occasionally these firings happen. I know that people want to say breakups are never mutual, but every once in a while, you run into them where they're like closer to mutual than normal, right? Versus, I'll be here forever, and you're like, get your ass out the door. I do think that this is one of those cases that he's like, yeah, like they're looking at each other in the eyes, Gold, and they're like, this has run its course, right? But I still think the Titans are making a mistake. I do not think that they should let go of Mike Vrabel. I think, again, I think Kevin Clark might be right. I think the best candidate for the Titans might be the guy they just let go. I don't know that they can find a better head coaching candidate than the one they just released off of their roster.
Was their GM fired as well?
No. So their GM member was fired a year ago after the A.J. Brown trade. So, no, it's the same. It's only
logically, by the way, they're...
Yeah, no, it's the same GM that they've had for about a year.
Because they made a mess of that quarterback room. I know that, like, Will Levis might work out, he might not, but Malik Willis, them taking him, and Will Levis hasn't worked. Ryan Tannehill's going to go, and Derrick Henry out the door. I mean, they have a full reset on the way.
So how many openings were we up to? 6 or 7, right? It's Carolina, Las Vegas, L.A., Atlanta, Tennessee, Washington. Am I missing one? That's 7, I think, or 6.
Did you say New England?
Not yet. It's not open yet. But yeah,
okay.
So we think. So 7, we think.
By the way,
6 right now, if I'm counting right.
Add another coach that I don't want to end up with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. He's too good of a coach. I want a worse one.
I don't think the Chargers would go defense again.
I followed the Travis Kelce model. I don't know if you heard his New Heights podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they asked about Bill Belichick and the Chargers. He's like, no, man, he's a good coach. I don't want him. He's like, I hope they go find some college assistant and try to make him a head coach.
Look, the Chargers have made plenty of bad decisions, so maybe they wouldn't. Despite what we just said about Vrabel, I think it would be a mistake. It would be a mistake for the Chargers to hire a defensive-minded head coach in Vrabel after just hiring Brandon Staley. Now, people disagree with that. I get it because Vrabel's
the exception.
He's definitely a better coach.
Quality of coach.
He's definitely a better coach, but I still think the Chargers end up with Harbaugh. I just do. I think Harbaugh ends up in L.A. But that's the breaking news here in the last 5 minutes or so. If you're just tuning in, Mike Vrabel fired as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Another opening in the NFL. Let's get a quick break. Come back. We're going to head out to Arrowhead. Going to hear from head coach Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Chris Jones right here on 610 Sports Radio.
Cody and Gold. Watch the show on YouTube by subscribing to the @610 Sports KC channel. 610 Sports Radio.
BetMGM, authorized gaming partner of the NBA, invites you to be a major baller this season. Here's your opportunity for a fast break at BetMGM. Whether your wager ends up being nothing but net or not. Right now, existing customers can log into their account and receive an NBA Bet Insurance token. Simply log into your already created account to receive a token. Add a wager on any NBA game to your bet slip and activate the token. If your wager is an airball with the token attached, you'll receive your stake back in bonus bets, up to $25. Don't miss out on turning an airball into a major rebound with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. BetMGM.com for T's and C's. 21 plus to wager. Kansas only. Existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
If you keep one resolution this year, it's to let Smokehouse Barbecue cater all of your events. With the football postseason upon us, invite Smokehouse to your tailgate. At the stadium or at home, Smokehouse is the perfect choice for game day. And if you don't feel like getting out in the cold this winter, have Smokehouse delivered to your house. And make sure you try their new Smokehouse Bowl, a delicious combination of their world-famous beans, mac and cheese, chopped burnt ends, and smoked sausage. Visit them in Independence, Zona Rosa, or Gladstone, or at SmokehouseBBQ.com. It's Smokehouse Barbecue.
Get ready for the big playoff game with Hy-Vee's biggest deals of the season. Just 1 day to save on Pepsi 24-pack cans, $7.99. 85% ground chuck, $3.49 a pound. Totino's Party Pizzas, 4 for $5. And avocados, just 49 cents each. Use your free Hy-Vee Perks card and save 50 cents a gallon on fuel with any $50 purchase. Rush in for the win this Wednesday only at your Kansas City area Hy-Vee. Offer valid in store only. Some restrictions and limits apply. See store for details.
Hey, it's Kling. I always enjoy enjoy my time shopping at Hy-Vee, but I also play a little game with myself and seeing if I could rack up more fuel savers just by swiping that Hy-Vee Fuel Saver card. But there's even more. Introducing the all-new Hy-Vee Perks membership, a free and easy upgrade to your Fuel Saver card, exciting new advantages like exclusive member-only pricing on hundreds of items every day. To start earning the all-new benefits or to enroll for the first time, just go to hi-v.com/perks and upgrade your card. Hy-Vee Perks, the best grocery value in town.
Good business owners believe two things. You have to provide what the customers want, and you have to keep the fire marshal happy. Pleasing the customer can be tough, but pleasing the fire marshal is easy. Keller Fire and Safety has been doing it for more than 70 years. Fire extinguishers, alarm systems, fire detection, kitchen hood suppression systems. Keller handles all of these so you can focus on business.
Keeping the fire marshal happy
Since 1950.
Keller Fire and Safety.
KellerFire.com.
Hi, it's Trey Smith, and in order for our team to get a victory, we need honesty, teamwork, work ethic, humility, and the golden rule. That's why my truck is from the dealer that embodies all those values, Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. And Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram also supports Giving Hope, whose sole purpose is to feed and clothe the needy in Wyandotte County and beyond. Giving back in the highest integrity, that's how Jeff and his team do business. For your next vehicle, visit or go to victorychrysler-dodge-jeepram.com.
Even though I'm turning a year older later on in the week, I'm seeing better than I ever have before, thanks to DuraVision. Back in May of 2021, I went in for my free consultation and found out for the first time that I was a candidate for LASIK. I had been told in the past that, yeah, your eyes, the technology, it's probably not something that you're eligible for. Well, your eyes change, technology changes, and you're working with the best in Kansas City. At least that's what I told myself after I had a great experience throughout my consultation with Dr. Lindquist. They had all kinds of photos and models they showed me to come up with a vision plan that was catered to me in particular. They don't go with just a one-size-fits-all approach. And what if I told you that there's savings that you usually can't have right now? That's because they've opened up their friends and family promotion for a limited time only. It's typically reserved for family members of their surgery patients only. So what does that mean? Right now, you can get savings up to $1,000 on LASIK for a limited time only. Head to DuraVision.com for your free consultation. Give them a call at 913-491-3330 and tell them Gold from 610 sent.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Get the home field advantage every time with Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. Whether you're a student athlete working toward your championship dreams or your team's biggest fan, Fairfield by Marriott has everything you need to get ready for game day. From comfortable guest rooms to complimentary hot breakfast. Fairfield is part of the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio of hotels and official hotel partner of the NCAA. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your next game day stay.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
NFL playoff coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views. Subscribe to the 610 Sports KC YouTube page for exclusive video content from Cody and Gold on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs and your home for Royals baseball. 610 Sports Radio. KCSB Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Well, we're expected to head out to Arrowhead in just a couple minutes, awaiting Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and eventually Chris Jones as well, as the Chiefs get set to take on the Dolphins. Continuing to react, though, to the news so far of the day in the NFL, which is now that the Titans have fired their head coach, Mike Vrabel. He is obviously one of the best candidates suddenly on the coaching market and will have no problem finding a job this offseason. The question will just be the trickle-down effect, what it means in New England, what it means in Tennessee, and does this change the opinion of somebody that already maybe was leaning towards a certain direction? If you already had a plan in place, like, hey, we kind of think this is the guy. Suddenly one of the best coaching candidates is on the market. It could shake everything up. If you were the Commanders owner, you didn't think Mike Vrabel was going to be available. Now you might be a little interested.
That seems like a well-oiled, established head coach. And if you're Vrabel, that Commander situation, as we've talked about, it's one of the more appealing openings on the market. For the Titans job, I think it's only as appealing as good as you think Levis is. The GM, who just fired Vrabel, drafted Levis, so you got to think he probably likes him a little, or at the very least, he wants you to continue down that road for a minute.
All right, let's head out to Arrowhead and hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid.
All right. The guys that won't practice today are Wanye. He's in the concussion protocol. We'll just see how he does. Justin Ross has a hamstring strain. Is making progress, so that's a positive. Everybody else will practice today. Look for the challenge of playing the Dolphins. Good football team, obviously. They're in the playoffs, and they're fully loaded on both sides of the ball and special teams. Mike has obviously done a nice job with that group. They're one of the top teams in the league on the offensive side. And defensive side, Vic Fangio has really done a nice job with that group. And special teams, Danny's done a good job with the special teams, a lot of speed and ability there. So we've got to have a good week of practice. That time's yours.
With Wanye concussion protocol in a short week, Donovan Smith has practiced a couple of times last few weeks. How do you feel as far as his progress and maybe being able to go this week?
Yeah, he's doing good. So I think without any setbacks, he should be fine for the game. Yeah.
Andy, even for you, after all these postseasons, does something feel different once you turn the calendar to this week?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's a different tempo to the game, and so it's single elimination, which creates an urgency even above and beyond what you have during the season. So. You're very aware of that.
And that urgency with this team, which has obviously had its ups and downs, but made it to the seed. Anything in particular you think you need to see this week to feel good about their consistency going in?
Yeah, I think we just work hard, and that's all. We'll be fine. We just got to take care of that, take care of our business, what we can control, and starts with working hard.
From the game in Germany, can you gain much from the video of that game for this one?
Yeah, I think both teams probably would say yes to that. We're familiar with one another, and as far as the personnel goes, I'm sure there'll be changes on both sides, a few of them. But the base, you kind of know our base. They know our base, and we know their base, and we go from there.
I can say that before last game, you didn't know what McCole brings to the table, but did that give you some encouragement that maybe you could play a little bit bigger of a role in the postseason?
Yeah, it was good to see him kind of get back in the swing of things and have a few consistent snaps in there. We'll work him in for sure, but that didn't hurt him at all. Yeah.
I think he played every snap, offensive snap, the other day. Did you feel like he needed the work, or?
I think I felt that way, and I think he felt that way. And he wanted to be in there. We had a rotation set, but he wanted to keep going and have some back-to-back plays there that he could get into the swing with and into a rhythm with.
With Kadarius Toney last week, he started the week at practice, and then you guys backed off of him. Was there a setback, or just wasn't quite ready? Or
yeah, he just his foot and ankle, or his hip and ankle were bothering him. So he's feeling a little bit better this week. So we'll see where we go.
Andy, with the weather right now and on into the game, how do you balance making sure you can maximize what you can do in practice with acclimating in terms of whether you go outside or all those things this week?
Yeah, so we probably won't go out today, but there's a good chance we're out tomorrow. If we can go out, we'll go out. But right now we got a little bit of snow out there.
And there's a value to being in the elements as much as being able to do all you need to do better inside.
Yeah, I think I like being on the grass as opposed to the artificial surface more than anything.
Andy, with you preparing for a postseason game, how much of this week on field preparation is about, as you said earlier, the basis of what you guys do on offense versus new wrinkles, new concepts, things you may want to show that obviously you haven't necessarily shown all year?
Yeah, you've got to make it workable is what you have to do. So that's a balance you have to have, and the most important balance. So not that you can't do new things, you just keep an eye on where you go with that.
Yeah, throughout the course of your career as a head coach, how much have you how hard is it to find that balance for a group that is different every year?
Yeah, sure. But you go through it every year. I mean, you go through exactly where that fit is. You obviously want to find where that tapping point is, and so you do that and see what the guys can handle and can't handle. That happens every year, Nate.
Yeah. Just one more. Obviously, you make a call that is rather unique or creative, but obviously gives the guys a lot of juice, whether psychologically or obviously from an emotional standpoint. What's it like for you as a coach when you're putting something into the game plan that you know may have a positive impact on the outcome from a scheme standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good, normally you kind of take yourself out of it and make sure that it works for everybody. And, but that's, the fun part is trying to find those things that work and making sure that your guys can execute them so that they're actually workable on the field. So and then you practice it and see if it's that, and if it's not, it goes in the trash can.
Can you quantify the benefits for Pat not having to play last week, kind of getting a week off? Was that a big benefit to him, you feel like?
Yeah, yes, just from a physical standpoint, just you're not getting the hits and running, all that, the physical part. So I think that's a positive. And then he was able to look at some of the teams that we would have a chance to play, and so he did that. Yeah.
What about the mental side of it? I mean, he didn't have to grind through the week and go through all that like he normally would.
Yeah, he was grinding in his own way. He loves that part, so I'm just how you balance that. But I mean, he loves to get in there and look at it, study it, and go. And he's competitive, so he would love to play. I mean, he'd play anywhere, anytime. But I think just the physical part of it, just being able to take a week there and condition, do your work there that you normally do, but not have to go through the game. It's a good thing.
Coach, some of your guys in Green Bay over the years said they thought they had an advantage when a warm weather team came up and had to play them in December. It didn't always work out that way. In your mind, is there an advantage sometimes for guys who live and work in conditions versus people who come up from a completely different weather?
Yeah, I don't think you bank on all that. That's where you get into trouble. The guys are pretty resilient, and so you get yourself ready. And if it works out that way for you or whatever, I don't know how to quantify that. So I just say get ready for the game. Let's do that. I don't really care what goes on out here. We're not having a snowball fight.
Coach, my word.
Coach, when it comes to the new guys here and the rookies and the veterans and yourself trying to establish the standard here with the playoffs, how's those conversations going, getting these guys up to speed, but knowing that, hey, once we get to this part, it's go time?
Yeah, well, we tell them. So I make sure they know that everything's a little faster. Every level you go up through the playoff games. I mean, it's a faster, more intense game, single elimination. So they're aware of that.
Couple more.
What, if any, is there an optimism level for Brian Cook? I know that he maybe didn't suffer as serious an injury as first thought, that he could return. Should you?
Yeah, I think that'd be probably a tough return right now, the way it sits.
Coach, you faced Miami and Germany, but this is the first time that Tyreek is coming back to Arrowhead. And I think fans were upset when in Germany because they wanted to see him make a comeback. So are you expecting quite an electric reaction in the stadium and from him and the fans when he's out there on the field?
Yeah, he's always ready to play, so he'll be fired up, I'm sure. And then our it doesn't matter who comes in. I mean, our fans are like they're crazy every week. So I mean, it's going to be electric, no matter who's out there. But I know Tyreek will be fired up. I mean, but like he's probably like our fans. He's always fired up. So
Last one, please.
And bouncing off of Brian Cook, saw Scott Moore that he's been walking around pretty good. Is he on track? Scott Moore.
yeah, he's on track, and then we'll just see where that goes. Yeah, he's doing a great job actually. So.
All right, thank you.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio in Kansas City, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
The key thing out of that was the left tackle position, right? We know Wanya Morris is in concussion protocol, but Andy did say that unless there's a setback, that Donovan Smith should be ready to go this weekend. I think we know timeline with the concussion anyway. It's awfully difficult for Wanya Morris. As of right this second, I think you would have to expect Donovan Smith is going to be the left tackle for this team Saturday night against the Dolphins.
Yeah, it would seem that way. Honestly, at least you got Donovan Smith. Because Donovan Smith hasn't played since he suffered that neck injury. So when Wanya went down, you're like, oh, God, is it going to have to be Joe Tooney at left tackle? Or are they going to have to move Jawan Taylor and do all this shifting? At least it didn't turn into that. The fact that they can just turn it back over to the veteran, Donovan Smith is fine. Look, Wanya has not been a perfect left tackle.
No, he's a rookie.
Neither was Donovan Smith. I'm not sure either was an upgrade over the other, but they're about the same.
All right, let's go out and hear from quarterback Patrick Mahomes.
What could be better, man? Playing playoff football January at Arrowhead Stadium. It's going to be cold. Kind of is what it is. I'd rather be playing a football game than chasing my kids around the backyard. So I'll have a little bit of the adrenaline rush, and I'm excited for it.
As a Texas native, just how have you adapted to the Midwest cold weather over the years?
Practicing with Coach Reed, you kind of have to. I mean, if there's an opportunity to go outside, he's going to have you outside. He'll have the doors open in the indoor. He's going to let the cold air in, and I've realized that practice in the cold is a lot harder than playing in the cold, just with the heaters and stuff that you have on the sideline. And so you kind of just adapt to it. But like you said, I grew up in Texas and didn't get any games like this, and I honestly kind of appreciate it. It's kind of cool to be at a stadium like this and the cold weather, and you're really playing football.
Patrick, do you feel like there were benefits for you to not playing in LA last week?
You just get healthy. I think that's the biggest thing. Everybody's a little banged up here at the end of the season, and to get guys rested and preparing their bodies. And then I thought it was an energy boost just to get to watch these other guys that work day in and day out and don't get those opportunities. They got to get those opportunities, and they found a way to win a football game. And so definitely it was exciting for me.
Did you need a physical break? Did you feel like your ankle or whatever else might be bothering you?
I'm getting old, man. I need a break every once in a while. Hopefully over in future seasons I'm gonna try to get that bye. But this year we didn't get the opportunity to get it. But we had the whatever you want to call it, the rest, and we were able to watch some other guys go out there and succeed.
But you've been in this spot before. Getting ready to start the playoffs as the division champ, obviously. But how you got there is a little different. Does it feel any different at this point now, is starting the playoffs?
No, not really. We played Wild Card Weekend a couple years ago against the Steelers, and we were able to win that game. But you just got to be prepared to go. Now it's everybody's records. There's no record. Everybody's going out there to play and to win games, and everybody believes they can win the Super Bowl. So this is when the best football is played, and it's all the mistakes are magnified, but all the successes are magnified. And so you just go out there with the mentality, I'm taking one play at a time, put my best effort forward, and see what happens.
Patrick, Andy said that you spent a lot of time grinding on the other team. Can you just kind of take us through what your week of prep was like? You had 5 possible teams you were looking at, and maybe when you got home, what time did you guys get home, and how quick did you start working on Miami?
Yeah, no, I watched a couple games from each team that we had the chance of playing, and just kind of got a head start in that sense. Once we knew who we were playing, we didn't really know until basically we landed. I got a good night's rest. Had a long day yesterday, watching a ton of film on Miami, and getting the game plan kind of down. But now you're kind of back to your regular week schedule, and you try to go over all the finer details and the small points. But at the end of the day, you got to go out there and play. And so coaches will get us prepared, and we'll go out there and play our best football.
You guys were all watching the game on the plane. Was that an interesting?
You know, the Wi-Fi wasn't really working, so we were kind of catching I could see the highlights of the game, but you couldn't keep the live stream kind of going. So we got to work on that. But we definitely kept up with it. We just didn't necessarily watch it live like that.
So what do you see differently now from that game in Germany now, Miami, and you think you could improve upon from that game and into this postseason?
Yeah, I think we just had to have better execution throughout the entire game. I think we had a good first half, but in the second half we sputtered a little bit. We missed a couple deep shots here and there. But they're a good defense, and they have a great defensive coordinator in Coach Fangio, who I know really well, and he's done a great job of having different schemes every time I play against them. And so they got a lot of guys that play extremely hard. It'll be a great challenge for us as a full team. That's a great football team, and that's what you get in the playoffs. Every team's a great football team. Whoever plays the best that day wins.
What does it take to be a snow game guy, as you once said? What goes into you being able to embrace that, and how do you deal with it?
I think you just go out there and play, man. I think that's at the end of the day, you go out there and play. If you win, you can call yourself a snow game guy. So I'm about to continue to find ways to win these games. I lost the last one in Denver, so I have to find a way to win this one.
Preparation. Go ahead, Lee.
But you won your first one in the playoffs, right, against Indianapolis. What do you remember about preparing for the snow and that snow game?
Yeah, no, it was very windy that day. I remember that from the beginning of the game. You could see the wind and everything like that. But like I said, the adrenaline rush kind of gives you that warmness that you're seeking, and you have heaters on the sideline. It's people make it a big deal, but at the end of the day, you just go out there and play football, and if you love it, you'll be able to go out there and play your best football at the best time of the year to play it.
Patrick, speaking of the adrenaline rush, that something comes with the postseason with that too, and certainly your record reflects that. What kicks in? Is there any way to describe the new urgency or new energy that you're able to put out now?
I think it's just everything you've worked for all season long is on the line. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, everybody's in the same position, but when you put in the time and effort every single day and you spend time away from your family, it's for these moments. And it excites me to have that pressure on you and to be able to go out there and try to perform at the highest level. This is what you watch growing up. Even me, who I wasn't necessarily the biggest football fan growing up, you watch these playoff games, and you get to go out there and have the opportunity to play in them, and you never know when you're going to get another one. So I'm excited for it.
Was there anything specific about the Bengals game that you felt like, okay, we've got this reset a little bit that you can take into the postseason?
Yeah, no, that's still a really good defense. Cincy, they got great pass rushers, great linebackers, great secondary, and so I thought we did a great job moving the football. Obviously, we got to continue to get better in the red zone. You watch the tape, and we did a good job. Guys were executing at a high level. We missed a couple deep shots. We hit a couple deep shots, and we're going to have to hit those in order to win this game this weekend, so I'm excited for it.
Have you heard from Tyreek?
I have not heard from Tyreek this week. I don't know if we'll be talking this week, but I talk to him every once in a while. I know he's excited. He'll be excited to come to Arrowhead. This week I won't talk to him as much, I'll say.
We'll go last three. We'll go Pete, Mackenzie, and Nate.
Neil kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but just considering how outspoken he's been, I guess, has your relationship changed at all? Do you feel like, just like a player in another team that you might have a friendship with, it's the same?
Yeah, we're competitors. I think that's the end of the day. You see me with guys like Max Crosby. You see me. I have that fire, that competitive fire when you're on the football field, and he's the same way. That's what makes him so great. You're still friends in the offseason and everything like that, but when you play on the field, you're trying to compete to win. That's just kind of how it is, and I'm excited for the opportunity for our defense. I'm excied for the opportunity for our team to go up against a great football team.
Mackenzie?
Patrick, your offense has worked through some adversity all season long. Just how confident are you that you guys can maybe hit that next year as you begin this playoff run?
Yeah, I'm extremely confident, not only in our offense, but in the football team. You see how the defense is playing. Offensively, I feel like we're going to play our best football at the right time. And I think if we can just score, we don't have to score too much points. If we can just score enough points, our defense will shut the door, and we can find a way to get a win.
Nate?
Patrick, you talked earlier this year about adversity and how you would think it would help you guys in, obviously, win or go home situations. I just wonder for you, where do you feel like that adversity that you've gathered over the course of this season will be the most sort of useful or a resource for you starting Saturday?
Yeah, I think we play in a lot of big games, playing games on short rest. We play in night games, whatever it is. And I think just having that experience is going to help us. Having those games where not everything's going your way and you have to find a way to pull through and get a win. A lot of guys on this team have done that, and so the step up that you always see going into the playoffs, it will be a step up. But I think we can make it a little bit smaller because we've been in these games like this, and so just being able to rely on our experiences and go out there and be the best team that we can be, and play our best football and see what happens.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right, that's Patrick Mahomes. We are expected to hear from Chris Jones. It could be in the next minute or two. It could be 25 minutes from now. We'll keep an eye on that when we hear from 95. Mahomes at the beginning joking a little bit on playing in the cold weather, saying he'd rather be playing football than chasing his kids around the backyard.
He's got it right.
You're a parent.
Very cold.
Uh-huh.
Dude, are you kidding me? The snow's all heavy and wet.
It is a wet, heavy snow, man.
I got a shovel when I get home.
Have fun
They
with that.
called this heart attack snow in a description from a news source
Well, 'cause
earlier and
people can
describing
have,
shoveling it.
People can have, strain themselves too hard, and people have had heart attacks shoveling snow. It's a true thing, yeah.
That's one of the
That
worst.
you bought a
I'd rather get
power.
sucked out of
you
that
bought
airplane yesterday than die from a heart attack shoveling snow.
Jeez.
What?
Yeah, my goodness. You didn't buy a snowblower, but you bought a power shovel.
I
You'll
did.
be fine.
I
You have
caved.
you have some horsepower behind you.
I
Okay,
did. I caved.
you'll be all right.
I saw this snow out there today, and I'm like, screw this. I'm not.
I think I do need to
I'm
go.
done with- I'm done
I
with this
think I
whole
do need to shovel my parents' driveway, and I'm not obviously going to just go buy a power shovel. So I don't know.
Will they give you $50?
No, I'm not going to
Like Cody was
really gonna
offering?
No, actually, I've already been told if I do that, then I'll just have dinner with them tonight.
Oh,
so
that's nice.
I might.
There you go.
That's worth it as well. So a home cooked meal.
Am I a bad son-in-law that I don't offer to do that for
I
my
don't think
mother and
you-
father-in-law? Just a reminder, we live about 5 minutes apart.
We
We don't
I
live
don't
that
think
far,
you're
so
bad.
it wouldn't be that far for me to drive to go do it.
Yeah, I don't
They've
think
never
you're
asked.
bad.
I've just also never offered.
I don't think you're bad. It would be a very nice thing for you to do. I would say, their like physical ability and all that, or do they have a snowblower? Like if you know they have a snowblower, then they're
They
good.
don't have a snowblower. They're either shoveling or they're using
That's
like a
why I
power
still
shovel
think
like me,
next year, like the gift, if you're gonna we did a TV, my twin sister and I for my parents. Next year, maybe I just buy a snowblower or snow thrower for their house, and that way, whether they do it or I do it, it's just there.
Either way, it's
just
a
there.
nice thing.
Maybe that's what we do. I don't know. There's I don't know.
Buying things that are convenient for both them and for you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, every once in a while you might not be available. Let's say they got a big snowstorm when you were in Vegas for, the Super Bowl or something, right? And, they might need it at a time in which you're not available.
Someone says you flat out refuse money for doing construction at their house. Oh, they're talking about you. What construction
I
did you
tried
do?
to.
Oh, that was the
remember I had to do
cabinets.
the painting.
Yeah, it was the cabinets.
I painted the cabinets. I said I tried to refuse that money. I eventually took it. There was no.
Someone says big deal in this
Yeah.
weather. Drink your water.
I was not given a choice.
Someone says people don't realize cold weather. You got to drink your water. Dehydration causes some health problems for people. People don't think about drinking water when it's 10 degrees outside.
I wouldn't
but-
either. Someone says my driveway isn't getting clear until all the snow stops. So like what? Saturday?
Well, it's going to stop by tomorrow. Tomorrow morning's a cleanup day. Tomorrow's a cleanup day. It can be bitter cold and windy, but tomorrow we get a little pause, don't we?
I think sadly you got to do it twice. I think you got to do it tonight or tomorrow, right? When a majority of it is stopped, and then you got to hit it again after the snow goes again. Is your mom calling you?
Yeah,
in the
does she
middle
not
of the
know
show?
I'm on the radio? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are you calling me for at noon? 12:10, 12:12. Come on.
She thought maybe you were free.
What?
Someone says Nurse Jen says
I'll
her
get a
husband
text in
uses
about 20
Bobcat
seconds.
equipment to plow their driveway. Man, I wish.
Well, that's awesome.
Well, if I had that, I would obviously do that.
Someone says snow's already done.
Anybody ever tried? So my kids have a Power Wheel. Could I just stick a
power? What is a Power Wheel?
like one of those like tiny little battery powered cars? Could I stick a shovel at the front of that thing?
I don't think that's
What are we
making it
thinking?
through.
Could I-
I don't think that's making it through the snow. What you want? So you're going to send your son out into and let him drive around in it and hope that it clears off some snow.
Both the kid would be very entertained with this action, and the snow would go away. Who's losing in this
Yep,
situation?
there was the text. Sorry, accident. I knew it.
There you go. That makes more
Yeah.
sense. Based on what time our show is, I feel like at this point,
I think most people know, you're on, from 10 to 2, you kind of can't call. Kind of can't do that. As a mailman, someone says, if you order packages, please clear your driveway. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be helpful.
Sidewalk at least. I mean,
The mail guy
too,
drives
when they're-
directly up to our mailbox, so.
Oh, like you guys.
My
have-
regular mail.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just close enough to the street that he pulls it up on the
Yeah,
sidewalk.
well, that's how a lot of neighborhoods are. It depends. Like some of the older neighborhoods, you still have to go old school, right? The route where you got to park it down the street and then walk. Props to those that are out there working in these elements. That's for sure.
Someone says, I definitely bought my dad a riding lawnmower for a house he lives three doors down. Same thing. I can just borrow it, mow his, Problem solved. It's really not the worst idea.
A lot of people saying they're without power. That's where things start getting a little dicey. If you start getting the
we had the
down
lights
power
flicker
lines.
on and off before I came in today.
At your apartment?
Yeah, it was very brief. It was
Yeah.
very brief. But
That's the worry. Isn't that the worry tonight with the wind
I
and then
think so.
like the snow freezes on the power lines or the tree? Like, isn't that the more of the concern tonight?
That's like
More than the snow.
You know, I've had some pretty unfortunate tree luck at the Tap house.
Are there any trees left to fall on your fence?
Well, I mean,
or tree branches?
3 have come down. 2 behind our property, 1 on our property. And of the 7 remaining trees on our property that still exist, we have had 4 of the 7 trimmed in the last year and a half. So I still got 3 trees left we haven't trimmed. I'm slowly doing it.
Someone is trying to give you some advice. They said, too much snow today for a power shovel. Ran through 3 batteries before. I just used the shovel. Good luck. They sent that to me on a DM on Twitter. I think they meant to send it to you. But
so real here?
A power shovel's not the same as a snowblower. So
the snowblower probably gets through it.
Well, there's also
for
there was
sure.
a bit of a
$200
price
difference, probably.
between
Oh,
the
no,
two.
I'm sure there
I
was.
was trying to make my life a little easier for today.
They can't allow you to return that either. Because you can't just be like, oh, they can't let you return. That's messed up. You use the power shovel, job's done, and you return it. That's messed up. They shouldn't allow returns on power shovels.
See, then over on Twitter, Jayhawk for Life sent us a link to it's a power wheel, but for kids, but it is already designed as a snowplow. So it is just
$500.
It's
$500
already
bucks.
designed as a
It's $500. There you go.
If I was spending $500, I'm just going to get a gas-powered professional snowblower.
That kid's one that says it's 4x4 electric truck, 24-volt battery, 3 speeds up to 3 miles an hour. Is that really getting the job done with the shovel?
Hard to say. That seems about the same power as the one they've got now. I could just, duct tape a shovel on it and see if it would go through. You never know, right? It's at
I
least
used
plausible.
to buy a beer pong. This is from the 402. I don't know where that's at. Used to buy a beer pong table from Walmart for the weekend, return it every Monday. I would go to different Walmart. Okay, just buy the damn folding table.
Why are you returning a folding
just
table?
buy the folding table. Come on, man.
As someone who
402
owns
area
a-
code is Omaha.
Oh, okay. Shout out Omaha. There you go.
You gotta say it like Peyton Manning on a sports talk show.
Omaha.
Yeah.
This doesn't count.
Omaha Productions.
Turns out he's been doing just fine for himself. All right, well, I guess I'll report back tomorrow on the power shovel for you. Otherwise, I guess I had to get out there with a real shovel. Terrible.
All 32.
Let's go around the league. We know, again, big news today. Mike Vrabel fired by the Tennessee Titans. This is kind of the surprise one. Every offseason, there's one surprise firing. This qualifies, I should say.
I think it's the biggest surprise so far, yeah.
So, looking ahead, though, bear with me on this one. Not this offseason, but if the Eagles were to lose to the Bucs on Monday night, and a lot of people think that's the upset, by the way. I actually do think the Eagles win, but a lot of people are on the Bucs to knock them off. Next year, Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat, right? I understand he was just in the Super Bowl, but if they lose to the Bucs,
Well, Philly just going to fire every coach who takes him to the Super Bowl?
It's Philadelphia.
Sometimes wins in the Super Bowl?
There's always surprise firing, and Philadelphia, as we all know, is a little different. A little different sports atmosphere there. I'm not saying this offseason, but if they lose to the Bucs, and that's the momentum or lack thereof heading into next season, and let's say next year the Cowboys win the division again and the Eagles miss the playoffs or something like that, yeah, I think he could be the surprise one.
I think you could chalk up a lot of the Eagles' problems this year to just injury. Like, they've been kind of riddled with them. I don't think that's their whole problem. They were 10-1 and one of the best teams in all of football. And then, yeah, they slipped all the way to the 5 seed. But just as long as I get it. You're saying, well, drop this game as the first round of the playoffs to a miserable Bucs team who scored 9 points against the Panthers last week, and then maybe, I guess, man. But at some point, it's like, we can't just let these big market teams get away with letting these guys go. There is some truth in riding it out with someone a little bit. Sirianni took it to a Super Bowl just last year. They were, through 11 weeks this season, maybe the best team in football.
I think we're finding out,
Things
though.
caught up with them, and then they fell short.
I think part of the problem, too, is there are 2 coordinators that left, specifically Shane Steichen on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, they needed them. They've already fired their defensive coordinator. Remember,
I think we're finding out Steichen was the key to the game plan and game plan and prepping for opponent. I don't think that's Nick Sirianni's strength, and I think it's a problem.
I don't think that that's way off pace. But he could also.
Lights
flickered.
Lights
Speaking
flickering.
of power
Yep,
going out.
there you go.
Lights just flickered.
We do have a generator. We'll be good if that
it'll be
happens.
fine.
Our power goes out even when it's nice weather, That's what happens
At
sometimes
least
here.
that. And the NFC side, the other quarterback thing, you might remember, probably week 8 or 9, you guys both didn't think at that time that the Packers were stuck in a situation, because my take for all 32 was, the Packers are now kind of stuck in a weird no man's land with
do
Jordan
remember
Love,
that.
where you don't really leave a guy on a contract for just a year remaining. So either you give him more money or you make sure they're going forward. The more I watch Jordan Love play, the more I'm convinced they're going to give him a contract, because with so few quarterbacks at that Mahomes level in the NFC especially, Jordan Love can be one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks in the NFC year to year, depending on the team around him, Because I think some of the elite level talent is in the AFC, and there's a lot of really good quarterbacks in the NFC, some better than others. I think Jordan Love's shown enough now where I'm like, that's where he opened the door for me. That rock back throw he made to the end zone in that last game, that looked like top-tier quarterback play for him.
He's just way more comfortable. I think eventually, right, there'll be young talent in the NFC as well. Heck, the number 1 pick this year could end up, being Caleb Williams. That's an NFC team, depending on who trades the pick.
Could be
and
the
all
Cardinals,
that.
could
Who
be
knows?
the Bears, could be a lot of
So,
teams.
I think eventually he bounces, but I hear you on Jordan Love. Everything is slowed down for him. He looks like he is going to be a franchise quarterback for the Packers. They got some young receivers that have come along. Yeah, all of a sudden, the Packers look to be in a much better spot than people thought 2 months ago.
Yeah, 100% agree. With that, I'm going to stick to the NFC with my take. If there's one team in the NFC, I don't think the Packers can do this, but if there's one team in the NFC that can beat San Francisco, I think it's the Rams, actually. So they finished 10-7. Niners were 12-5. If you remember, Kyren Williams was out for a short period of time in the middle of the year. They lost to the Steelers. They lost to the Cowboys. They lost to the Packers. And then he came back and they figured it out and have looked very good lately. If you switch some of those games around, not to say that a running back is the most key player to a team, but you bring back Kyren Williams and you look as good as they have. It's a divisional opponent. I feel like the Rams are the one team that we can feel confident in saying can beat the Niners. I don't even know if you can be confident in saying, you could say the Cowboys could, but I don't know if you feel as confident maybe even as you would the Rams based on how hot they've been and also the divisional opponent aspect.
Yeah, I think the Rams can go and beat Detroit. After that, I'm not so sure. Remember, both Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay are great coaches, but Kyle Shannon's 10-5 now against Sean McVay. Kind of interesting. 10-5.
He's also had the more talented teams, I think. Generally
No question.
speaking.
That's why Sean McVay, the fact that he's in the playoffs as the 6th seed with this team is pretty incredible.
He took a rookie in Puka Nacua and an unknown in Kyren Williams and then thrust himself into the playoffs.
Look, they still have Aaron Donald, but Aaron Donald, we would agree, is not the same player this year as he has been.
Agreed.
It's really, really impressive what he's been able to do. But I always find that interesting. Kyle Shanahan has definitely had the number of Sean McVay.
I think, I understand. I think the Rams can probably beat anybody in the postseason, but they can also lose to anybody. They're like the rest of the AFC. Everyone seed 2 through 7 can lose to anybody and beat anybody. I feel like in the NFC, it's less like that for a lot of other teams other than the Rams. The Rams I wouldn't be surprised to find out they beat every team in the postseason or lost this first one to Detroit. They're just a little too Jekyll and Hyde. I say over the long term, though, Matt Stafford I have changed my opinion more on him than just about any other quarterback over the last 5 years, because when he left Detroit, I was just like, you know what? Good quarterback, putting up good numbers because he's always down 30 in Detroit for a decade. Who cares? The more and more I watch him play, when healthy, when he's got the weapons around him, he deals. Matt Stafford can he is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league and has been for a very long time. He's getting up there in age, I get it. Yeah. But that's why I like him in the postseason. Matt Stafford sometimes can just get hot and make throws a lot of other quarterbacks can't.
A Super Bowl winning quarterback. I know that was always the debate heading into the Super Bowl before he won it, is he a Hall of Famer? He obviously is going to the Hall of Fame, and frankly, what he's done even post-Super Bowl, I think, has solidified his case. Matthew Stafford will clearly be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's got the ring, he's got the numbers to support it, and I really have been impressed the last couple of seasons. If you're wondering, the Rams to win the NFC 21-1 right now, so a huge number. And again, that'll go down in half if they were to upset the Detroit Lions. The Niners are -130 to win the NFC, Cowboys +350, Eagles +750, Lions +950, and Rams are, again, 21-1, Bucks 31.
God, the Lions, a team that could have very easily been the 2 seed if they just didn't completely blow a call against the Cowboys. I like them at 950.
Yeah.
Sam Laporta.
Talk about the number I can get on them. I like that for sure.
Yeah.
What was it, an MCL sprain for
hyperextended knee? It's the same injury like that Kelsey had early in the year. It's like hyperextended knee and bone bruise.
Out for at least a game?
They didn't rule him out.
But they haven't. Yeah, they haven't ruled him out. But
and ruled him out, but not likely he'll play.
But I don't think it's for sure that he would miss like the whole postseason. Like if they were to win a game or so, maybe he does have a chance to come back. Kelsey only missed one game.
Yeah.
The thing too about Stafford, real quick, wasn't this year? It seems like it was forever ago. But wasn't it the rumors of he can't get along with any of his
wife started it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that was this year, and that is all blown over.
He was not able to relate to the younger players on the roster. His wife said it on her podcast.
How funny was that?
And
clip?
yet he's got Puka Nacua as the leading rookie receiver.
It's so weird.
Amazing.
And I just think, like we went back and forth on these guys when they were earlier in their career. Like if we were ranking out the top 5 head coaches in the NFL, McVay and Shanahan are both on the list. That's part of it. They're both on the list. They're both two of the best coaches in the entire NFL.
McVay,
and
Shanahan.
offensive minded, which you love, of course, for your team.
McVay, Shanahan, Andy Reid. Those are 3 of the 5, and then you can come up with the other 2
Harbaugh,
spots.
maybe?
Harbaugh probably is one, and then
Tomlin.
the 5th toughest spot is tough because you can make a case for Tomlin. It's really Pete Carroll. I mean, Pete Carroll. I mean, the fact that what he's done post Russell. I know they missed the playoffs this year, but
Dan Campbell, D'Amico Ryans. I mean, I know it's too early.
Too early to put in top 5. Obviously, D'Amico Ryans, hell of a first year. Dan Campbell looks like the real deal, but I can't put him in the top 5.
And then it's funny because like you'd be leaving out Bill Belichick hypothetically, but the most recent Bill Belichick. I'm not talking about all time. I'm talking about if they had to coach my team today.
Right now,
yeah.
If they had to coach my team today, there are 5 coaches I'd take before I got to Bill Belichick for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, well, as much as we make fun of bad coaches, there is definitely some quality coaches in the NFL as well. Up next, though, yesterday was a big day in Jackson County. We now know what looks like the path forward to April, but there's still plenty of questions for the Royals and the Chiefs and what they want to do with the money.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every weekday starting at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
Yes, you're always better with a roof from JR. Veteran owned and veteran operated. We are hardwired to serve and protect what matters most. More than just a roof. JR & Company delivers peace of mind with a lifetime warranty on workmanship. That's right, a lifetime warranty that's even transferable if you sell your home. And no one offers more roofing options than JR & Company. Unlike most roofers who carry only 1 or 2 brands, JR & Company is certified in all the major brands. You can't choose the right roof if you don't have a choice. Start with our free online storm check tool. If there's damage, we'll help with your insurance, service, selection, and a lifetime workmanship warranty. It's why we say,
you're always better with a roof from JR.
Visit jrcousa.com.
Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold, each day from noon until 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio.
Hey there, I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. Chances are if you bought a car in the last 12 months, you now owe a lot more than that's worth. Don't stay upside down. Let's get you into a better situation.
Come and see us just off 5470 in Colburn Road or visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late night bites. Only at Twin Peaks.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
If you're suffering from that awful joint pain, you're suffering from arthritis, or you're suffering from a joint injury that you hurt playing pickup basketball, my friends over at QC Kinetics can get you back in the game with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. You want the same treatment that elite athletes have been using for years? QC Kinetics has you covered. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair damaged joint tissue, and QC Kinetics can make it happen with no drugs, no surgery, and again, no downtime. The future of pain treatments has arrived, and QC has tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain and hip pain and any pain associated with arthritis. So get a free consultation on the calendar today. 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics off of 435 and State Line and in Gladstone. 816-412-6299. It's QC Kinetics.
Wholesale batteries for all your battery needs. Motorcycle, ATVs, lawn and garden tractors, power sport, boats, jet skis, and RVs. Kansas City, visit Wholesale Batteries now for all your battery needs. Wholesale Batteries, the right battery the first time.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit GetJim.com.
Chiefs coverage is brought to you by Renner Garage Door. Forward and back, RENNER.
Renner Garage Door, servicing and installing garage doors in KC for over 60 years. Family owned and top rated. Residential, commercial, service, and repairs. RENNER, forward and back. Renner, the company that does garage doors. RennerDoor.com.
About 10 minutes away from the random question of the day. Hope everybody's staying safe out there in Kansas City. Obviously, the weather all week long is going to be interesting to watch. But props to someone just tweeted me, a FedEx delivery driver. He said, got to get the packages delivered. There's a photo of our guy Mike, listener Mike, appreciate it, working for FedEx at that delivery. Someone's got to still do it, right? And they're bearing the elements, dealing with the roads, dealing with the miserably cold weather. That's only going to get colder as the weekend goes on. So shout out to anybody, again, that is working outside today.
Are you disappointed that instead of we have to host this show, or instead you could be listening to your favorite guy, Aaron Rodgers, do yet another television interview that's not really about football, even though what was the thing he said yesterday about football? We got to get everybody out of this building that isn't about it.
If you want to be a winning organization, you have to put yourself in position to win championships and be competitive. Everything that you do matters, and the bullshit that has nothing to do with winning needs to get out of the building.
Oh, okay.
Oh, not football.
And what did you say he's talking about right now?
Currently, he's still talking about COVID vaccines.
And vitamin D.
And vitamin D.
Okay, cool.
And other stuff.
No, I'm glad I'm doing the show with you, man. I really am.
You could be listening to this.
I'm good.
Okay. I'm just giving you a chance. That's all.
No, I'm perfectly fine.
Man, Ubering today, too. God, there are a lot.
Uber would be terrible, I feel like, today. I mean, like, because you're dealing with the bad, like, you're dropping people off in these side streets, back in their neighborhood. That seems.
All I'm saying is it's okay to call a delivery driver. It's okay for someone to pick an Uber. You are allowed and entitled to this tip. Take care of people if you're putting them out on the roads for you today. That's all.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you
tip
there.
Better than normal is what the point I'm making.
No, I hear you. I got you. Yeah, always tip, but I hear you. Yesterday was a huge day in Jackson County, and we got a step closer, I say we, to being able to find out what the public wants. And ultimately, that's what should have happened a long time ago. And this stems from the Jackson County legislature yesterday voting to move forward with the ballot measure in April. Now, there's a 10-day window here. Frank White can veto it, and some believe he will. If he does, they can override it. So it looks like, barring...
It's 95% going to be on the April ballot.
I'm with you. This whole thing has been weird, though, so you never know. But yes, it looks like it's moving forward to the April ballot. Okay, great. Let Jackson County residents decide. We still don't know a lot, though, right? Because it's an extension of the 3/8 cent sales tax. We know the Chiefs want to renovate Arrowhead. You and I both think that's the wrong decision. We can get into that in a second. We know that Royals want a downtown stadium in Jackson County. That looks like it's going to happen. However, the site still has not been selected, and all of the momentum seems to be pointing towards the Kansas City Star building, or that site area, right? The old KC Star Printing Press Pavilion or whatever. And that is still like the weird hang-up for me all of a sudden, Cody, because I'm pro downtown stadium. And
you just prefer the other site.
I prefer the other site for East Village for a couple reasons. One, it's already vacant. So you're not potentially either through negotiations or court and eminent domain moving businesses that don't want to move in the Crossroads area, which already exist. The other part is, while we can be skeptical that the ballpark district would actually correlate to this, but one of the big selling points was John Sherman. He's going to pony up $1 billion of his own money for a ballpark district around the stadium that they would own, right? Condos, retail, hotel, you name it. Revenue they get that they don't have to share with everybody else across baseball.
Put back into the team.
A model that many teams have done, a model that has worked in Atlanta and other markets. And so I was like, okay, you're going to put some of that money back in the team. Again, they have to prove it to us, but I can get on board with that. That excites me a little bit. If it's true that the KC site is what they want, and if it's true that there are limitations based on footprint with that, and you're not getting the same type of ballpark district, that's problematic to me, unless there's some other plan we don't know about. Because, Cody, then I think it hurts one of the selling points, which is what I just described about revenue.
Realistically, how much time do they have left before they can announce a site? They've only got what? Let's say it gets on the ballot, which at this point, by the way, all signs point that way. There's no reason to think. If Frank White vetoes it, by the way, all they have to do is get a 6-3 vote to override his veto. It passed yesterday in their council 8-1. So unless 3 votes flip in the next 10 days, which seems pretty unlikely, this thing's going to be passed and it's going to be stuck on the April ballot for Jackson County voters to decide. The problem is, so January, February, March, April. Okay, so 3 months? You better announce a site fast, in a hurry, because you want renderings out there. You want to be talking about what even the revised Gold, as you pointed out, Ballpark Village looks like for the people that were ready to vote for it when they thought it was bringing this entire entertainment area, and to get behind the messaging that is, if you go to that KC Star site, the businesses you will be displacing in order to put it there. So you better announce a site soon.
Well, the timeline's getting pushed back. I mean, not that it matters entirely. The lease is 2031 and 2028, 2029, other than being impatient. And again, going back to, hey, is it sooner that revenue comes in that they can spend on the team? That's the part that hurts. Otherwise, it probably doesn't impact you and I all that much. But if the Star site is going to take longer, on top of it, that's another downside.
The text line's asking, hey, does anybody know why Frank White keeps opposing this? Well, he's just trying to get something out of it. Yeah. Some of it is probably a bad working relationship with the Kansas City Royals. Some of it is that he is trying to get something personal out of it, including the report yesterday that was he was trying to go from $5 million to $25 million. out of the Royals that the teams would pay each year. So he went from getting like $50 million to asking for $500 million, saying that, negotiations have to start somewhere. I mean, it would be like me asking for $2 million in salary from Odyssey starting next year, which is probably not going to get me much of anywhere gold. But I still think both. I think both teams need to make it very clear inside of the next 4 weeks what they're doing with the money. For the Royals, that is, where is the location, where are they going? And for the Chiefs, it's how are you planning on spending this money we're planning on giving you?
Yeah, we know it's a renovation for Arrowhead. And I would imagine the next 3 months, you will get some more info on exactly what it entails. Although I'll be out, like most stadium renovations, right? There's probably suite upgrades, probably new video boards, stuff that we can't see behind the scenes. No, I know.
I don't want to be guessing.
I understand. I'm not as concerned with what the renovation entails as I am where the Royal Stadium is.
It'll go downtown. And it'll have things on it.
New stadium is new stadium. I think you understand though. A new stadium is a little bit different than there are limitations within a renovation. Again, they have already pretty much said that the renovation is not going to pay for a roof. If you're thinking like, oh wow, they're going to renovate Arrowhead and slap a roof on it, that's not happening with the renovation. The only way we're getting a roof and therefore a Final Four in Kansas City is a new stadium, which is also why I still think it's a mistake to renovate Arrowhead. I know that's going to irritate some people because we all love Arrowhead. People hate change. I get it. We ran through this with the airport as well. And there are certainly positives to renovating Arrowhead as well. I'm not going to act like there aren't. But I'm definitely pro new stadium on the same site-ish because financially I don't think it makes sense to renovate. And the other part is the events, Cody, right? You get a stadium that does have a retractable roof. And you are talking about bringing in the Final Four. And for those that say it doesn't matter, well, isn't this whole argument about the financing, about bringing in money and revenue to the county? What do you think a Final Four would do?
I do think that it's, of course, it would bring in tons of money, so would a Super Bowl. But I do think that, I'll be honest, I also think that I would like to know that the Chiefs are tossing in some of their own bucks. Like, I assume they are. The Royals, right, they've already committed the rest of the funds outside of the 3/8 cent sales tax to finish their stadium. Are the Chiefs just like taking the money, fixing what they can with that cash and not throwing any of their own money? So it's just the taxpayers keeping your building alive for the next 40 years? I wouldn't love that, Alex. I feel like it would need to be the same thing that we're talking about here where, hey,
I think there's already been some quotes that have said that the Chiefs would be ponying up some money for a renovation.
So just like, but that's like so much of this and like the firm plans outside of us couldn't really happen until they were sure it was going to get on the ballot. So I'll give them a little bit of grace period here. But it's time now to start announcing your intention. That starts with the Royals at the stadium, but it doesn't end with the Chiefs at least explaining how they're going to spend it.
Honestly, more than like what does the renovation entail on the Chiefs? And what I'm really fascinated by is the lease length. And you're like, why does that matter? The joint statement that came out last week from the Chiefs and Royals, if you look at it, it said, we're prepared to stay in Jackson County if it's approved for the next 40 years, right? Great. And a new lease term for the Royals, which would be the downtown stadium, for 40 years. Makes sense. New stadium, 40-year lease. Okay. Does that automatically mean the Chiefs are also signing a 40-year extension? Because we know preference-wise, and it doesn't always mean you get what you want, but preference-wise, Clark Hunt had mentioned in a prior press conference setting, I believe, a month and a half, 2 months ago, maybe, something like that he maybe preferred a shorter-term lease, like, I don't know, 20, 25 years. Understandably so. And so in 20 or 25 years, are you then going to ask for a brand new stadium? Or are you all in at that point, 100-year-old stadium, rough, not 100, but.
You get the point.
Yeah. But would take it to 100 years old.
I mean, to be up there.
And so that's interesting to me because if it's 40 for the Royals and it's 25, and I'm speculating here, we don't have this confirmed. I'm just asking the question. And if it's 25 for the Chiefs, well, the 3/8 cent sales tax is a 40-year tax. Because the Royals, well, that means 25 years in, what the Chiefs would be asking for would require an action. Right now it's an extension, but would be requiring a new tax. And I know the state of Missouri is more likely to pony up money for the Chiefs long-term than the Royals because they already lost an NFL team. And I get it. And the Chiefs have leverage right now, although 25 years from now they might not have leverage.
Well, I mean, Mahomes won't be the starter. I don't want to say for sure. Pretty sure Mahomes won't be the starter 25 years.
His son could be the starting quarterback by then.
Oh, we get a different Mahomes.
Yeah, they're perfect. Yep.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Or daughter. Come on, that's sexist.
Well, I mean, I'm basing off of current. There are no female football players in the NFL. That's a fact. So I'm going to base it off of that.
There have been some that have played Division I football.
Yeah, so. I'm talking about the NFL. As of right now.
Patrick Mahomes, if a girl could, if there was going to be a young girl right now who makes it in the NFL, why couldn't it be Patrick Mahomes' daughter, just based on his sheer amount of talent? I do, again. I am glad that they got to at least the decision that is the taxpayers get to decide. I think it's really funny that Frank White was desperately trying to delay this vote for 4 days, and it was the most transparent BS ever.
Yeah.
He's trying to delay it because if you delay it by just 4 days, then his 10-day veto could technically take them past the date in which you would have to file in order to get it on the ballot. It's such nonsense. I can't believe
that motion failed, by the way. It did not get delayed 4 days, fortunately.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew, over in the text line, 913-586-7610. Of course, on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, as we stream the show every single day. All right, we're going to make this snow-related today for the obvious reasons. A bit snowy in KC today. We've talked about all of us apparently have to go shovel, except for Drew. He just gets to just go home and kick it. Although he probably had to dust his car off this morning. So.
Oh, yeah, I did. I had to dust my car off.
The garage is so nice
Gold's
today.
apartment has a garage.
I actually thought about that this morning. I was like, man, it must be nice to have
I can never go back. I can never go back.
Oh,
it's
really?
a heated garage, too. I can never go back.
Heated?
Yeah, well, I turned it on. I don't always have the heat on in the garage, obviously, but last night I definitely turned it on.
Last night cranked it up a little bit?
Absolutely.
Trying to stay, might be a whole week worth of heated garage for you based on the way that's going to work. I bet most people have the heated garage not to just warm up their car for a little bit, but instead to like do things in there, Gold.
Yeah, no, but it was. I think this is a week where, plus that way you pull in, you got snow in the car, and it melts.
Yeah, it just melts right off.
Immediately, which is nice. The question I have for you is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your snow driving ability? Because I think everyone always thinks they're a little bit better at this than others. And I want to get a sense of where everyone thinks they are. 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
How do you rate your own personal driving ability in the snow?
Yeah, I think I'm an 8.5 out of 10. The reason why I'm confident. The reason why I'm confident is I've never had an SUV. I've never driven a car in the snow with 4-wheel drive. I've always owned a car that's front-wheel drive, and so that presents new challenges. I think you become more experienced on how to handle the slight slide if that happens. You know, there's rules, right? You don't just slam on the brake or whatever. Basic stuff, I think I handle pretty well, especially considering the vehicle that I'm driving in the weather.
You think the small vehicle helps you?
Yeah.
So I've never been in an accident, but I did pop a curb once in like 1.5 feet of snow and blew out a tire. So I can't give myself. I have to knock myself.
You blew out a tire?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Popped a curb. Couldn't see it. Honestly, God, the snow was so high you couldn't see where anything was. It was just,
also that reminds me.
It was a day in which there was like a foot of snow on the ground. You couldn't see anything.
That reminds me. Do not be the person that doesn't brush off the back of their car and then decides to either they can't see. We know
Just
you
let it
can't.
blow on the
We
highway?
know you can't see out your windows at all, which is dangerous. But then the person that then has a sheet of ice come fly. By the way, that did happen. I was on I-70 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I was on I-70 in a huge sheet of ice landed on the front left panel of my car. I had to get a whole new, my whole mirror fell off and everything. So it's very dangerous.
I think I'm a solid 7. And honestly, I don't believe all of you on the text line. Someone says 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10. I am great. I'll tell you right now, when I'm out there on the roads, all of you aren't great. Someone's screwing this up because the couple of mistakes everyone makes is like, especially when traffic dies down. Hey, you're coming up a giant hill. Why are you stopping at that light?
Yeah, you got to get the momentum. You got to get the momentum to go.
You're trying to get us all stuck.
Yeah.
Cop's not pulling you over. You got to be careful. You got to go through these lights a little bit. Keep things moving. Some of you are screwing this up. That's why I'm asking.
I would say I'm an 8. I slow down
Everyone very confident.
I slow down well ahead of the light. I make sure that I'm not sliding at all. I will say this: going out of the parking lot today, nobody's around. I will try to drift my car a little bit for the sake of doing it.
That doesn't make you a bad one. That's just kind of fun.
As long as he says that, and then we're going to find out he gets in the damn ditch over here. He's going to be in the ditch over here, and then we really will have.
I'm doing it in the parking lot. I'm not doing it.
Oh, you're doing donuts in the Odyssey parking lot.
I'm not drifting out of the parking lot.
I've been in the car twice when somebody else smashed their car.
Wow.
And ice. I've been in the car twice, but I was never driving. I'm good here.
We've all been on that spot where you're turning out of an area with nobody around, and you purposely let it drift for a second. We've all been in that.
But have you ever I fully spun out once?
I have not fully spun out
once. And I hit the curb once. So I'm a 7.
No, I have not spun out before. I've been stuck once when it was in a
never been stuck.
When I was in Boise, and you have to understand the snow amounts are low.
No excuse. You got stuck.
No, listen for a second. We were in Boise, a lot more snow than this. I was at the dog still wanted to run, and she loved the snow. So I was at a dog park nearby. They did not plow that, and so I totally got stuck in the dog park parking lot. Fortunately, there was another individual there, put a blanket under my tire, gave me a little traction.
Had you put the blanket under your tire separately? Again, this all qualifies as part of
Hold on, you want me to drive with a blanket under my car?
No, but you didn't think to put the blanket underneath. What I'm saying is what encompasses all of the snow driving.
Preparation makes you a good driver? I don't.
Stop.
Someone says 10 out of 10, but I do run a snowplow, so thankfully a 10. I hope so.
Someone says you guys are rooting, obviously going for the top 15 best mid-market show in the country. We'll find that out next month. And someone says, congrats, you guys are the best rated midday show in inclement weather driving.
The best?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you for that honor.
Someone says, literally a driver for a living, 12 out of 10. Taught me how to drive in snow before I had a license. No, I mean, I don't know.
I will say this. The fact that we all put ourselves under a 9, we are realistic with it. It's not like we're saying, I'm a 10 and I'm great. We're actually giving ourselves some
grown up driving the snow. Although there's always the overconfident. I know this is you listening. This is you. I'm talking to you out there.
The person going 70 miles
an hour.
The guy
that has the big 4-wheel drive truck and thinks he's unstoppable in this weather.
This is what they get dinged on this too.
That guy. Don't be that guy either. Don't be the guy that's blowing past everybody like an a-hole.
This morning on the highway, what's your speed? What's your highway speed when there's still a good amount of snow on?
I honestly don't know what I was going. Obviously slower, but I don't know. Probably 45 or 50 we were going. I don't know. It was the flow of traffic. I didn't check the speedometer.
I was
obviously
going
under the speed limit. But.
I was going 40 on Metcalf, and it was 40 is the speed limit on Metcalf. I was going 30 this morning.
Yeah, someone says they're an EMT. 10 out of 10 in the snow, or there's potential for problems, big problems.
Well, I would, yeah.
Yes.
Do you think the ambulances handle well in the snow? Like, you would think that they should, but do they? It's a heavy vehicle.
I don't know, man. If it drives anything like a box truck, hell no.
That's what I'm saying.
But I don't know what it drives like. I've never.
Do they have double in the back? Is it double wheels on both sides?
I don't know. I mean, a fire truck's a whole different scenario. The ambulance, I don't know.
I'm sure that would help a little
This is why
bit.
just stay inside, right? Less accidents are possible if everybody just can stay inside.
Not a single person was just like a 4. I'd rather just not leave.
Someone says no.
Not a single soul.
Oh, someone says ambulances have built-in chains for the eyes. Well, that would make sense.
Nice.
Kind of important that they can get to where they need to go. Okay. Someone says they saw one car in a ditch today. A 4x4 truck. I'm not gonna, you can call me an ass for this, but I'm not going to lie. There is a little bit of enjoyment, assuming everybody's okay, when I see the truck that blows by and then you do find out that they ended up in a ditch later. I'm sorry. You're the one that might cause another accident because you're driving too fast. And when I see that someone that thinks they're unstoppable and they're all-wheel drive
It's either the driving too fast, too slow gets you too. Don't be going like 17 on the highway.
Well, that's dangerous.
Keep yourself at home if that's the case. But maybe don't also go 80 if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You want to hear from Chris Jones?
Like on the other side or like now?
Whatever.
I'm open to that. Yes.
Let's hear from Chris Jones, big number 95, who's obviously feeling good now that he knows he's getting $1.25 million.
So, just talking a little bit about, I know cold is a mind thing, but how do you keep that from being a distraction? What kinds of things do you do, to be able to play the way you want to play when you're playing in elements like that?
Most importantly, I think we're in the playoffs. I think we're grateful for that. We know what's at stake. It can be negative 13-degree weather. I think we're just excited to be here with this opportunity ahead of us. I think it's cold all the time here, so it shouldn't play a factor, you know what I mean? It's snowing one day, it's hot the next day, so hopefully it warms up a little bit before the game, but if not, we'll be prepared to play in whatever terrain they give us, what the universe gives us.
Chris, Patrick's referred a few times now to counting on the defense as not even meaning they need to score that many points. Does that reflect what you guys think of your defense, and does it mean anything to you to know Patrick looks at you that way?
I mean, it's a team effort collectively, right? Offense don't score 40 points. Defense got to hold them to under 10. So offense scored 40 points. We still got to hold them. So whether the offense scoring or not, I think it comes down to the defense. We still got to hold them, hold the offense to scoring at least its will and not giving them huge chunk plays. I think we go into every game with that mind frame as a defense to holding the offense to minimum yardage, points, and whatever else we can.
Chris, your early look at the Dolphins, you guys played them, not that long ago. Do they look any different, or anything different than they were before?
Yeah, they're a good team. You look at the history of us this year, the teams that we played twice this year with 2-2. Goes for the Raiders and then we go to the Denver Broncos. So it's a point of emphasis this week to make sure we key in on details and be attentive. We got a really, really good team coming in this week, high-scoring offense, a fearless coach, and a quarterback with a lot of weapons around him.
Chris, fair to say that you feel like this is the best defensive team you've played on since you've been here?
Yeah, collectively. We got a lot of good individuals in this room who have exceeded expectations along the year. But we're not, still got a ways to go. We got 4 to 5 more games to go. So we're going to continue to build off of what we put out throughout the regular season, continue to maximize our efforts.
Chris, what do you think about playing Tyreek at Arrowhead?
Should be exciting. Tyreek is a well-respected player, not only around the league, but exceptionally in this building. What he was able to do with his tenure here, how successful we were with Tyreek here, scoring a lot of points. Him becoming into himself as the cheetah. We came in together on our draft class. And it was a remarkable time, man. A lot of points were scored, a lot of sacks was made. It was fun.
Chris, that's one fun moment where you were able to get your incentive last game. As you enter this playoffs with a little bit of uncertainty, do you do any reflection on your own tenure with the Chiefs, or is it just full steam ahead on we have a goal to accomplish here?
I think it's more so as the goal. You usually reflect after, right? It's like after it's all done, you kind of reflect on what's the next chapter for you, for the team. I try not to think about it. Could be my last game in Arrowhead. Who knows? But most importantly, we got a game to play. We're trying to make a deep run in this playoffs, and if it is my last time, then we got to make it worthwhile.
Is there a switch that's flipped when it's this time, playoff time? I mean, you go from the regular season, and now here you are in the postseason. Is there just some different energy that kind of overtakes the building?
I think the energy kind of transpired throughout the season. Later on in the season, we kind of want to be hitting our peaks as players and continue that throughout the playoffs. So I think there's a point of emphasis on the playoffs, on details, doing your job, point of emphasis on being where you're supposed to be, discipline, physicality.
Chris, you just mentioned, this could be your last game at Arrowhead. I mean, how much of that thought crossed your mind? Is that give you even more motivation for this game? I know you're already motivated to play a playoff game, but is it any more motivation?
Man, that ain't crossed my mind. Listen, I'm just thinking about playing the Dolphins. If it is, it is. If it's not, it's not. You can't think about what ifs. You can't think about the future because future tends to change. People change by the day. Feelings change by the day. And you just got to roll with the punches in life, man. They give you lemon, make lemonade. Right now, we're trying to make lemonade out of this, man. We got an exciting Dolphins team coming. Looking forward to it. We made the playoffs, won the AFC West. We slowly knocking off goals we wanted to do throughout this year. First thing was win the AFC West, have a home field game back in Arrowhead, and then let's make it and get the Lamar Trophy again. So we're slowly checking those boxes, and we continue to do that. We'll figure this out the rest of the end of the year, right?
Chris, I have to ask.
Okay, last two, Nate and then Todd.
Chris, I have to ask. Twitter tells me 11 minutes ago you posted
There's blood in the water. My dog, five. Love my dog, Frank Clark. We need to bring him back. I'm going to keep harping until we get my dog back in the building.
I was going to ask you about that, but then also, Justin Houston apparently is a Dolphin now, an old teammate guy, right? What do you think about that?
Good for him. Good for him, man. It's exciting to play against him. Bring 5-5 back.
Did you buy the watches yet, Chris?
All right, that was Chris Jones. I want to get a quick break, come back and react a little bit. One to the Frank Clark point, and then could it be Chris Jones' final game at Arrowhead? I certainly think it is. We'll talk about that and the path forward for the Chiefs throughout the postseason next here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Get ready for the big playoff game with Hy-Vee's biggest deals of the season. Just one day to save on Pepsi 24-pack cans, $7.99. 85% ground chuck, $3.49 a pound. Totino's Party Pizzas, 4 for $5. And avocados, just 49 cents each. Use your free Hy-Vee Perks card and save 50 cents a gallon on fuel with any $50 purchase. Rush in for the win this Wednesday only at your Kansas City area Hy-Vee. Offer valid in store only. Some restrictions and limits apply. See store for details.
Hey, it's Kling. I always enjoy my time shopping at Hy-Vee, but I also play a little game with myself and seeing if I could rack up more fuel savers just by swiping that Hy-Vee Fuel Saver card. But there's even more. Introducing the all-new Hy-Vee Perks membership, a free and easy upgrade to your Fuel Saver card, exciting new advantages like exclusive member-only pricing on hundreds of items every day. To start earning the all-new benefits or to enroll for the first time, just go to hi-v.com/perks and upgrade your card. Hy-Vee Perks, the best grocery value in town.
Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold, each day from noon until 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are open now for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. Enter now at overheaddoorkc.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorkc.com.
With the new year comes new commitments. Make life easy with Old Shawnee Pizza's Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $14.99. Go to ShawneePizza.com. Old Shawnee Pizza with 3 locations, Shawnee, Lenexa, and now the Crossroads for carryout.
As good as the NFL regular season is, there's nothing quite like NFL Super Wild Card Weekend. 6 games, 3 days, and for these teams, it's win or go home. But you will always have a spot in the playoffs with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. And FanDuel, what I love about FanDuel app is it's quick, easy to use, and you get paid instantly. I love the pre-built same-game parlays. I love playing the player props. I expect it's going to be a very fun and exciting NFL postseason, and you want to be a part of the action with FanDuel. New customers can get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you need to do is visit FanDuel.com, use my promo code CDOT to join today. That's FanDuel.com/CDOT. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports partner of the NFL, and also 610 Sports Radio. 21 in President, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued. Non-withdrawable bonus back. Expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports betting. Kansas Casino LLC. Gambling problem. Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit KSGamblingHelp.com.
I've always been into exercise, but things aren't working the way they used to. I'm getting a little older now, and so a buddy of mine said he only shops at supplement superstores. So I finally decided to give him a shot. I went into the store and met with Dylan, one of the specialists at supplement superstores, and he knew everything. He walked me through what made sense for me, but most importantly, what didn't. He wrote me out a meal plan and has even followed up to help hold me accountable. My goal was to gain some muscle, lose some fat, and overall just get healthier, and I'm proud to say I'm down over 10 pounds, and I even did it through the holiday season. Over at Supplement Superstores, they have the best selection of products, the most knowledgeable staff, and they offer wholesale pricing every day. Starting a new program right around the holidays didn't really make sense, but with Supplement Superstores on my side, I knew that even with the holiday season, I could make a big change in my life. Without Supplement Superstores, I'd be at a weight that just wasn't comfortable. Supplement Superstores, when you're ready to feel your best.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-973-7809 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-973-7809. That's 800-973-7809. What do you have to lose? Call 800-973-7809. Again, 800-973-7809.
Did you know some ordinary cold medicines can raise your blood pressure? That's alarming. Fortunately, there's Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. It's specially formulated without alcohol, sugar, or decongestants to provide fast, powerful nighttime colds and flu symptoms relief for people with high blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, try NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, colds, and flu for people with high blood pressure medicine. Use as directed and keep out of reach of children.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now, and the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products, and we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC.
NFL playoff coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Hey, it's Willie Gay Jr. You're listening to the official broadcast partner of the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
1 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Of course, our NFL playoff coverage on 610 brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views. Coming up later on this afternoon during the drive, CDOT's conversation with Patrick Mahomes. That's at 3:10 today. We'll have a chance to talk with the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. So you want to listen to that during the drive this afternoon. We also had a great conversation with Nate Taylor earlier. You'll hear that again coming up around 1:30. Nate Taylor, who's been out the Chiefs facility throughout today and obviously has a close eye on everything going on with this football team heading into a playoff matchup against Tyreek Hill and the Miami Dolphins. You heard Chris Jones speaking just a couple minutes ago, and he said, maybe it's my final game at Arrowhead, and I think everything points to that being the case.
It's hard to imagine it isn't.
As a member of the Chiefs, of course. One, just the playoff path makes it nearly impossible for you to get another one. Nearly impossible. And I just think the way the contract negotiations went, the way the season has gone, you look at who else they might want to take care of financially, and for his own sake, what he probably can get on the open market. This is the last hurrah at Arrowhead, I think, for Chris Jones on Saturday.
This is the first time he's ever you have to admit, when he says that, how can you not think it? Because Chris Jones has spent his entire career in Kansas City talking about the only thing he wants is to be a Chief for life. Even when he came back from the holdout with no contract, he said, I still want to be a Chief for life. And now he's going into a playoff game and saying, I don't know, maybe this is my last game at Arrowhead. Maybe not, but at least it's on his mind or he's thought about it. Because it's I thought the second that they made him pay for it, I thought back at training camp, the second he get signed, it was the case. But when they made him play for his incentive, how many different things do we need marked across this to know that this is Chris Jones' last game at Arrowhead if Buffalo or the Browns, unless there's some upset in the postseason. Right. It's the last scheduled playoff game at Arrowhead this season. That's probably why he's feeling that way.
Yeah, and I'm sure he will be emotional. The playoff, I guess we'll call it curse around Chris Jones, ended last year as well. That was a narrative that was following him for a while.
Yeah.
What does he do in the playoffs, right? Wasn't getting the same. Last year, I still think 2 Super Bowls that they got to, they wouldn't have won those games without Chris Jones. If you consider the AFC title game and how he closed out the game against Joe Burrow, and then if you consider how he got Jimmy Garoppolo in that 49ers Super Bowl. I truly think they don't win the Super Bowl without Chris Jones. So it's not downplaying his importance, and we'll have all offseason to talk about that. But I do think the playoff stuff is in the rearview mirror, fortunately, for Chris Jones. I expect that stuff is not hanging over you anymore. I expect Chris Jones to get to a one time at least on Sunday or Saturday. I'm sorry.
Honest to God, I just hope we get the exact same Chris Jones we got in that week 18 game against Easton Stick.
Mm-hmm.
He was pressuring the quarterback on like every single drop back forever. He is still their most important defensive player. And I understand that L'Jarius Sneed has been phenomenal and Trent McDuffie has been really good. And they're having a great defensive year. You know why? Part of the reason they have a great defensive year is because Chris Jones is still one of he's the most dominant interior defender in the NFL. It's why I still give them chances in the postseason, even when I have questions about their offense. Chris Jones is a huge reason why he's a dominant force.
He still was bringing up 5'5", Frank Clark, in that press conference. He's obviously joking a little bit, but he continues to send out tweets. Obviously, it's his guy. Frank Clark's fun personality. Frank Clark has made some huge plays in the postseason, but I thought, that ship has sailed, right? Like, what? He's still out there vouching for his guy. I know Justin Houston signed with the Dolphins today, but the Dolphins have numerous injuries at a pass rush position. The Chiefs don't, fortunately, right? And Aminihu's playing great. Garloft is playing great.
They can't even get their rookie first-round pick on the field. They're supposed to go after Frank Clark?
As fun as Frank Clark is, and I would love to hear one more press conference from Frank Clark in Kansas City, I just don't, unless you have numerous injuries suddenly, it doesn't make any sense. And unfortunately, I think he might be done. If you look at Frank Clark's path this year, 2 teams, one was the Broncos, the other was Seattle, where he actually had a chance to play because of injuries, and he played like 1 or 2 weeks, and that was it. He's played in like 6 games as 2 tackles.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think he's done.
I think he is too. I mean, what's the evidence on the other side? Somebody could point to me the evidence, like other than just he's not motivated because he's been on 2 losing teams, and Seattle wasn't a losing team. They were fighting for a playoff spot up till the bitter end, and he still couldn't maintain with them. And he'd had a history with them, and it seemed like, hey, he's back with Pete, and here we go, and still nothing.
I think
this is just one of those, like, it's a buddy cop. They're great friends. Chris Jones wants Frank Clark back because that feels right for the postseason. But I already told you, they have man who can complement Chris Jones on the field. Sorry, he can't be your best friend in real life, but they have man who can complement Chris Jones on the field during the postseason. It's Charles Omenihu. He has a career high in sacks. I think that was the single best move that Brett Veach made all offseason, especially because of the financial handicap that they were stuck with because the Chris Jones deal didn't happen. They couldn't make a move for wide receiver and all these things. To get 2 years out of Charles Omenihu for basically nothing and to get a 7-sack player who missed 4 games, so maybe an 8 or 9 or 10 sacks.
6 games, right? Wasn't it 6?
So 6 games. So maybe a 10-sack player at a 2-year contract for almost nothing?
Yeah, look,
steal.
The criticism towards Brett Veach for the failure at wide receiver, more than valid. We've all talked about it.
But Rice and Omenihu.
But you do have to also acknowledge, and I think we do, the Omenihu signing, the Mike Edwards signing under the radar. He's come up with 2 huge plays at minimum this season. You mentioned Tranquil. And then drafting Rashee Rice. You know, I know they've had a terrible history of drafting wide receivers, but we also have to acknowledge the one they just hit on as well in Rashee Rice. So there's always a balance in that conversation. But yeah, Omenihu's been phenomenal. He's under contract next year, so he's going to be a big part
which is good
of this
because
team
they
going
don't have
forward.
Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Dana, Turk Wharton, and Chris Jones all aren't under contract. I kind of assume somebody out of the Dana, Turk Wharton camp will come back, but having another pass rusher you can trust to go along with, ideally, a jump in year 2 from FAU will go a long way for this team.
I mentioned, the unlikelihood that it's not Chris Jones' final game at Arrowhead because of the playoff path. I get it. They have to take care of Miami first this weekend. Understand. Well, can we look ahead for a second? Because the path that the Chiefs have, if the seeds hold up,
it ain't great.
It is brutal. It's brutal. Like, so much to the point where if they beat Miami and they were to go to Buffalo and beat them, then I do think the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl or going to the Super Bowl. Like, that's how big of a swing all of a sudden it can be for me because of how brutal the stretch is. But, man, you're going to have to go on the road to Buffalo and Baltimore, most likely, to get it done. But I think that's how big, like, if you could go in your first road playoff game, Mahomes, and go beat Josh Allen in Buffalo in that ridiculous atmosphere, then I actually think, how would you not believe and buy in at that point? But they got to handle business against the Dolphins. I get it.
I know that you and I are both like, I think Buffalo and Kansas City are a similar quality team. I do not think Buffalo is better. Okay, so, but
atmosphere,
yeah, the atmosphere is interesting because they haven't played in Buffalo in a very, 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 very long time. But There is still part of me, I'll be honest, that thinks that the Chiefs just have Buffalo under their thumb as far as postseason goes.
Yeah, postseason.
I know Buffalo's beaten them in the regular season plenty of times. They have yet to get past them in the postseason. Now, maybe that's because it's always an Arrowhead. You know? Maybe if one of those games, maybe if that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes epic duel in the divisional round is in Buffalo, they win that game. Maybe. But they also only had to stop them for 13 seconds and couldn't do it. And for a while, that felt like the thing that broke Buffalo. Yep. A team that, because of their cap situation, something we can talk about tomorrow, is desperately in win mode. And at some point, it's going to feel that heat. The one big difference between Buffalo and Kansas City now that's been different the other 2 years is Buffalo would make mistakes, and then the Chiefs would capitalize and get the win. Buffalo can make plenty of mistakes against the Chiefs and still win because you know who else will make mistakes? The Chiefs. Yeah. The Chiefs are also going to make mistakes. They're not going to just let you make mistakes and then just kick their feet up and not do any themselves. They make lots of mistakes, kind of all the time. So, you know.
I mean, yeah, the path speaks for itself at this point. The Chiefs, by the way, 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl, 10-1. They have the 3rd best odds behind Buffalo and Baltimore to come out of the AFC and win the
Buffalo
AFC.
had better odds before they were even in the postseason.
Yeah, they were already trending in that direction. The Chiefs plus 450, which is they're in a weird spot just from a betting standpoint, real quick, where they're the 3rd best, but it's not enough value for me to bet. You know what I mean? Like I have no interest.
The Lions on the
now
other
maybe
side.
you want to I'm not going to make the bet, but the Super Bowl odds, there's value there. I just don't like the bet, but there's value there. The AFC one at plus 450, not enough value. If they were 7-1 or 8-1 or something, that's one thing, but they're not.
From the 816, calling it now, Pittsburgh's taking down Buffalo.
Oh boy, I would love it.
If that happened, Sean McDermott is employed?
Yes. I think
I think that might be the only thing that could get him canned.
No.
He fights all the way back to the 2 seed and then loses to Mason Rudolph and a TJ Watt-less Steelers team. That's fireable. That's a fireable offense, especially because he had
there's a lot of
anyway.
fireable things that happen. It doesn't mean people in the NFL or anywhere get fired. I hear you. I think the fact that they won 5 in a row or whatever.
Yeah.
And let's not kid ourselves. They did end up finishing as the 2 seed in AFC East champs in an 11-win season. After everything that happened. So I do not think Sean McDermott gets fired. Where they were at with the 9/11 comments and prior to playing the Chiefs, that everything was pointing in that direction. But although we had we had our friend Mike Shope on from Buffalo, and who knows, we might be having Mike on next week if both teams take care of business as we continue this Buffalo-Kansas City connection thing. But Mike told us at that point in time, he didn't even that was before they rattled off all these wins. He said he did not think he was getting fired. That was pre all of this. So yeah, I think McDermott's safe.
Is an 11-win season even all that impressive? Bills 11 wins, Dolphins 11 wins, Chiefs 11 wins, Browns 11 wins. The whole AFC won 11
Hold on, it's not about being
year.
impressive. You're saying, is it fireable, though? Now we're saying 11-win seasons, you should get fired?
I'll tell you this much. Jerry Jones doesn't sound like he's willing to give McCarthy the job, no questions asked, and he's got 3 straight 12 wins.
McCarthy's not getting fired either.
There's no...
Mike Vrabel now. He got fired by the Titans.
But how much...
You got to wait. You got to wait a while.
Yeah.
That'd be an upgrade, but Vrabel's going to have his options. It's not like he's, I got to settle for Buffalo.
No,
where would
Sean
that
McDermott,
rank?
well, if Buffalo did fire McDermott, which again, I don't believe they are, then Mike Vrabel would be very interested.
Is that the top job?
Or
is Josh Allen? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it would probably vault all the way up to the top.
Gold's still big on Washington because it's like a blank slate. It depends on if you want establishment or blank slate. Look, it could be. It could end up being a really good coaching cycle. Believe it or not, you're saying who do they go to? Vrabel and Harbaugh both in there. McDonald people like. Ben Johnson people like. And then even like Dan Quinn or if Bill Belichick became available. It's a relatively deep group of available head coaches. Deeper, I would say, than normal of available head coaches for an off-season cycle. So, I think losing to Pittsburgh, you might need to just lose your job. I know you don't want to overreact to one game.
Can we make a bet?
You put this team at risk the entire year.
If that scenario came into play, again, this requires Pittsburgh beating Buffalo. If that scenario comes into play, can we put something on it? I just don't think there's any chance. If even Pittsburgh upsets
how about that same $50 that you and I had on Broncos Raiders,
which was a void,
dead tie.
Push. Yeah, push.
How did we end up in a push? We made that bet before
both
the
had the
season
same
started.
record, same winning percentage,
and then I got a 2-game lead or 2.5-game lead, and then you had a 2-game lead, and then we still ended up at the exact.
Let's do it. Okay, if the scenario comes where Pittsburgh upsets and shocks the world and beats Buffalo, I am saying they don't fire McDermott. You are saying they do. $50. Most likely it won't even come into play. But
just in case we got a little juice on it.
I like that. Drew, do you want to get on this? Or are you good?
I'm okay.
Okay, all right.
I will sit and observe, and
Okay.
I will say, like, if Buffalo loses, and you obviously you don't know, but if you know you can get Vrabel, Belichick, or Harbaugh, I feel like there's part of you that's gotta.
I mean, I don't think Belichick's going to Buffalo.
Correct.
I hear you though.
But if you know you
Josh
can
Allen's
get,
there.
if you know for a fact you get one of those three, I think that's really got to be something the Bills actually consider, and not just it's whatever because we still won the division. I think you really got to consider it.
Yeah, 11-win season, won the division. I think he did enough.
Can the Dolphins actually win this game? Considering now I saw earlier that they added Justin Houston. Now they're adding Bruce Irvin. They're just literally finding any veteran defensive end off the street.
Dude, they have nobody
to try to get enough guys to play on the outside against Kansas City.
They don't have anybody.
Get a pass rush.
They've lost so. I mean, look at look at the injuries that they have. They have nobody, so they're forced to have veterans come in that are going to learn the system for 3 days and hope that they can give them package plays. 10, 15 snaps for Justin Houston. My guess is 10 snaps for Irvin. That's what they're praying for.
They
got nothing to lose. The playoffs, right? I mean, I get why they're doing it.
Sure.
Talking about the Dolphins' veteran acquisitions.
I think maybe later in the week this would be a good. We should rank out our confidence. Like when we talk about the winners, we should talk about the winners of those games and ranked of confidence in which we think they win. Because we're probably both. Buffalo, number one out of both sides of the field. Yeah. Chiefs-Dolphins is creeping up high on that list. As in, I might be the second or third most confident the Chiefs are winning versus any other playoff matchup this weekend.
Probably, third or fourth, as I'm just off the top of my head thinking about some of those matchups that exist.
Houston and Cleveland. I mean, I could take either side of that argument.
I'm more confident still that the Cowboys at home, as much as Jordan Love is playing great, at home I do think the Cowboys roll against the Packers pretty comfortably.
Okay, so maybe that one because the Cowboys are undefeated. There's not another one. I think they got to be at least third for you.
Rams and Lions is a complete toss-up. I'm more confident in the Eagles against the Bucs than most people. Most people think that's the upset of the weekend, that the Bucs are going to beat the Eagles. I don't like when everybody's on one game like that. I'm totally fading the public, and I think the Eagles are going to win.
If they lose, does Sirianni get fired?
Well, we talked about the string all 32. Not this year. I think next year he enters the hot seat.
Yeah, he gets the a little heat on him.
It's Philly though.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think they do it a year after he goes to the Super Bowl. I think next year, if they were to miss the playoffs and they would also lose to the Bucs on Monday night, then 100% talking about real chance that Philly would push him out. I think he's totally safe for this year.
If he did get fired, you're talking about the Bills and the Eagles. You're talking about the Bills and the Eagles, two of the best teams people would say in the league that have jobs available and they're open. And it's not because they retired.
How quickly after Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl for the Eagles did he get
2 years?
I think it was 2, yeah.
Just trying to remember.
I think it was 2 years, Cody.
If the Bills do fire McDermott and the Eagles
there we go. So Super Bowl. Oh, it was more than that actually. It felt like that. He won it in year 2. He won it in year 2. So they were 2017. Then he coached in 18, 19, and 20. So it was 3 entering 4 years after.
And he won the Super Bowl, not just went to the Super Bowl. He might.
But
you
were
talking about another guy in the hot seat. Trevor Lawrence is going nowhere.
Well,
that
next
man's
year,
stuck in
next
neutral.
year is a big year for him. If you're wondering, just the seasons after, the Eagles went 9-7, 9-7, and then 4-11. That's what it took at that. But again, Doug Peterson has a statue in front of Lincoln Financial Field.
If you're a team that has to be frustrated, if you're the Chargers, you got to try to nail this thing in as soon as you can with Jim Harbaugh, because if the Bills do fire McDermott and the Eagles somehow fire Sirianni, Harbaugh's eyes have got to go to those two places. You would think, at least in terms of ability to win immediately without having to deal with Patrick Mahomes in the division.
I hear. Now we're really. I know we're talking about hypothetical.
Yes,
now,
sure.
the Bills and Eagles are not both firing their coaches in a week.
We both think
it's just not happening.
The Bills do.
Where do you guys think Harbaugh goes?
I think the Chargers. I really do.
He won the national championship last night. First one at Michigan in 26 years. I think
they got to be the favorite.
I think it's the Chargers. Yeah,
maybe. And
the Raiders are interesting. I know typically we think but remember he was an assistant there in the past. There's a little connection there. I think the Chargers or the Raiders are interesting.
I think Atlanta could sneak in there
for Harbaugh.
If you know, if you can get him Kirk Cousins, or he has a spot in the draft. I mean, he's got a high enough spot in the draft. He takes a quarterback. Who knows? I think that he'd like the weapons there. The division's easier. That might be a sneaky spot for Jim Harbaugh.
I keep thinking Atlanta's a possible, but I haven't seen Harbaugh's name near Atlanta at all.
Yeah, no.
I've seen it near the Raiders and near the Chargers and some of these other teams across
Tennessee's
the league.
now open again. The news of the day: Mike Vrabel gets fired, so suddenly Tennessee's an interesting job for somebody out there. I don't think it's as good as the 2 or 3 we just mentioned, but Tennessee, the division looks a lot tougher now than it did a year ago, didn't it? Like, now the Texans look like they're a problem. The Jags, I know they're down, but still, they're not going to be a 3-win team.
All they have to do is win and win the division.
And the Colts are ahead of schedule, although I still personally don't think we can just say we already know Anthony Richardson is good to go. He looks
good.
He played in, 6 games, 5 games. I think there's still some questions with him. He looks like he's going to be a special player, but I got to wait to see more than 5 games.
If I were Harbaugh, I'd be gunning for the Chargers job. Which, again, I don't want. I want a bad.
He hired Tom Brady's agent, Don Yee, very famous agent, who obviously, Tom Brady obviously has a great relationship with Mark Davis in Las Vegas, so some people are putting those together.
That's a lot of.
Antonio Pierce has a great chance.
Tom Brady's friends with
still.
a lot of people, probably. What a weird friendship, Tom Brady and Mark Davis.
Dude, rich people with rich people. What do you mean? You know what I mean?
I know, but Mark Davis doesn't seem like he'd have any friends. That's part of it.
Just because of his haircut? Just because of his haircut?
They're different ages.
It is odd.
Then it doesn't seem like he'd be the kind of person who would have any friends. And then, Tom Brady's a winner. Mark Davis is the opposite of that. It's just like
they're in the same circle. They're in the same circles, and Mark Davis is in Vegas. Brady, it just, I don't know. I think when you're in that spot, influence, power, wealth, people hang out with each other.
You just end up at the same parties.
Yeah, did you guys see in the national title game? It was Stephen A. was up there with MJ,
booth.
Derek Jeter.
That suite was
Travis
insane.
Scott.
Yeah, that suite was
very weird.
How about Stephen A. Smith? Just
good for him.
Yeah. Oh no, good for him is right. Yeah.
That was quite the.
How old do you think Mark Davis is?
60.
50. Oh yeah, I was gonna say 59.
Brady's 46.
I was gonna say 64.
68.
Oh God, he's old.
That haircut.
Why's he got a haircut like a kid in the
He's just
8-year-old?
Remember, there's a story.
1950s.
There's a story where he drives just like a pretty basic car and all that. I can't remember who wrote that story a while back.
He drives like a Corolla or something.
Yeah, just
random.
He spends his money elsewhere.
Weird. I'm fascinated because 2 of the coaching openings are in the division. So obviously, it's an interesting year from a Chiefs perspective about if they stick with Pierce or if 2 new coaches are coming in the division. And Peyton just came, so you'd be right up against it.
Earlier today, we caught up with our guy Nate Taylor. He's been out at Arrowhead all day long. We'll ask him about this matchup against the Dolphins and Tyreek Hill coming back to Arrowhead.
Cody and Gold. Watch the show on YouTube by subscribing to the @610 Sports KC channel. 610 Sports Radio.
It's touchdown, Kansas City for homeowners. When you sell your home as is, in any condition, to RexBuysKC.com. This is Mitch Holtis, voice of the Chiefs. And now, sell your home to Rex. No matter the condition or situation, with closing details designed to fit your schedule, needs, and wants.
Thanks, Mitch. This is Rex, owner of RexBuysKC.com, your local home buyer. We offer instant cash offers on the first visit. We pay you more. We give you unlimited options on how to sell your home as is with no out-of-pocket repair cost, no closing cost, fees, or commissions, and will close in as little as 7 days. Call now at 816-330-6000 or go online to RexBuysKC.com.
Rex will buy your home for more with huge cash offers, fair and honest dealings, and options that make selling your home quick and hassle-free.
Homeowners, call now, 816-330-6000 or go online at RexBuysKC.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Last year, other dealers were charging up to $10,000 over MSRP, but those cars haven't held their value. I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. If your car is worth a lot less money than you bought it for, exchange it.
Is your car payment too much? Exchange it. Is your interest rate too high? Exchange it. Want a lower price? You guessed it. Exchange your vehicle at Volkswagen Lease Summit today. We're offering rates as low as 2.99% APR, low leases, and thousands off MSRP. Come and see us or visit VWLeaseSummit.com. Financing through VCI on approved credit.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for our e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/peaks-club to sign up today. Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, scenic views.
Ring in the new year with the ultimate timeless gift, a diamond from Diamonds Direct. Whether you're ready to pop the question or celebrating a lifetime of love in 2024, Diamonds Direct can make this New Year's one to remember forever. Diamonds Direct is the area's destination for exquisite diamonds in all shapes and sizes, and our nationwide price guarantee ensures you'll get the best value, period. To showcase that spectacular diamond, we have literally thousands of designer settings from all the top names like Tacori, Verragio, Simon G, A. Jaffe, and many more. And our experts will guide you every step of the way with the education you want and the respect you deserve. Engagement rings, wedding bands, eternity bands, fashion rings. At Diamonds Direct, we specialize in the ultimate symbol of love, and we welcome the opportunity to celebrate with you. So start the new year with some new excitement, new hope, and some new bling. Diamonds Direct. In Leawood at 119th and Row, across from Town Center. Proud to call Kansas City home. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-Do.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
When my daughter gets a cold, I have a secret weapon. DayQuil Kids Berry from Vicks. DayQuil Kids is specially formulated to treat kids' most bothersome cold and cough symptoms quickly. And the best part is that DayQuil Kids Berry tastes really great. Aren't you supposed to be resting? Maybe.
DayQuil Kids Berry. The kids' berrylicious daytime congestion, coughing, stuffy head, stuffy nose, just for kids. Medicine. Safe for kids 6 years plus.
Your floor is the unsung hero of your home. What other part of your house gets walked over, jumped on, scraped up, spilled on, and used as much? That's where LifeProof's luxury vinyl plank flooring comes in. Our premium flooring is durable, scratch-resistant, 100% waterproof, and antimicrobial, so it can take everything life throws at it. Plus, it comes in a variety of colors with a realistic wood texture and is easy to install. Make sure your floor can stand up to life's toughest tests with LifeProof. The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit GetJim.com.
Brought to you by Gomer's. 5 locations in the KC Metro or shop online at Gomers.com.
Gomer's has all you need to celebrate the football game this Sunday. Voted KC's #1 liquor store, our mission is to offer excellent prices, selection, and service. 5 locations in the KC Metro or shop online at Gomers.com.
Back here on Cody and Gold. Earlier today, we caught up with our guy, Nate Taylor from The Athletic, and started our conversation, of course, talking about the weather, but also wanted to get his thoughts on Tyreek Hill coming back to Arrowhead, and where do things stand at the left tackle position for the Chiefs?
Oh, what's up, fellas? I've been driving all morning. It's been excellent. Had an appointment that I didn't foresee this being the weather.
You mean 3 months ago when you booked it, you didn't know it was going to be a snowstorm?
Yeah. I didn't know it was going to be a snowstorm. But no, man, I've been fine. The roads are pretty good. Everybody's behaving themselves accordingly. I haven't seen any wild, reckless behaviors behind the wheel of a car. But no, I've been doing all right. I got my coffee, and I'm here at the facility, just eager to see who's going to practice, who isn't going to practice. My assumption is right now that the team is probably going to practice today indoors, since it's still obviously this is the heaviest the snowfall should be this week. And then hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, they'll have a chance to practice outside tomorrow and Thursday in preparation for a frigid wild card game against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you mentioned finding out who's practicing as well. I mean, timeline, Cody and I were talking about this. Saturday game, how is Wanya Morris getting cleared from concussion protocol by then, which means Donovan Smith hasn't played in, 5 weeks with this neck stinger?
Correct.
I feel like Donovan Smith is going to have to play on Saturday.
And what's interesting about this is Donovan Smith participated in a practice early last week and then didn't for the remaining last two, I believe. So technically, if my memory is correct, I think Donovan Smith was a limited participant on Wednesday, and then they sort of scaled him down because they knew he wasn't obviously going to play in the season finale against the Chargers. So, again, we'll see. When it comes to Wanya Morris, you can make the argument that he was a better player over these last 5 games than the last 5 games you saw out of Donovan Smith. But, of course, he's never played in the playoffs, and Donovan Smith has played in the playoffs. So, again, it's all very fascinating. Obviously, we're going to monitor it as the week goes along. But in terms of the concussion protocol, this is going to be one of those. I mean, Wanya would have to sort of already be trending in a positive direction today, right? Because you do have to do the on-field activities. Your baseline has to stay, pretty consistent once you're in the protocol. And in order to get out of it, my belief is he would probably have to be cleared on Saturday morning, which means he would not have taken any real reps alongside his teammates, like O'Toole and Creed Humphrey. Like, you can do football activities, but that's usually on an individual basis as you're sort of ramping back up to get clear from the protocol. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are taking your normal amount of reps. So if he was available, if he did clear concussion protocol on Saturday, it'd be one of those unusual circumstances where he really hasn't practiced the way he would normally do in preparation for the most important game of his young professional career.
Nate, how big of a deal do you make about the weather thing as it relates to Miami? I mean, we can cite a million different stats. I think they're 0-10 in their last 10 games below 40 degrees. Tua's record isn't good in games below 40 degrees. We used to talk about this a lot with Derek Carr, but how hard is it for a team like Miami, a warm weather team, to come into Arrowhead and play? And I think it's supposed to be minus 10-degree wind chill.
Yeah, this is going to be the coldest game I've ever covered, guys. So when you start trying to get your mind right, and look, I know the field has a nice filtration system, right? It's not going to be what it was. And I always like to remind people, go watch the 1995 divisional playoff game between the Chiefs and the Colts.
Playing on a sheet of ice.
That field is ice, okay? And the fact that they played that game in that condition was one of the reasons. I know the quarterback and the kicker, who shall not be named, played a role. But the field literally played a role because you couldn't move the football in the second half. So, yes, they have heated benches now. Like, there's so much better technology to prepare yourself for this type of environment. But you cannot simulate it in Miami Gardens. You just can't. So, for the Chiefs, they're going to get the advantage because they're going to practice, like I said, either tomorrow or Thursday, in similar conditions. It won't be as cold as obviously Saturday night, but at least they'll be somewhat accustomed to it. And of course, we've seen Patrick Mahomes play excellent in playoff games where obviously it's cold, not as cold as obviously Saturday, but we have a track record. There really is no track record for the Miami Dolphins. And what's crazy about all this, too, is I think people are still going to be unconscionably loud because it's the first time Tyreek Hill is walking in that building wearing another team's jersey. So it's not like, there might be some concern about the energy level of the attention of focus if they were going to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Because we've seen that, and they will be playing another backup quarterback in Mason Rudolph, honestly. But because it's Miami, because they played them already this year, I think it's a massive advantage for the Chiefs because all Steve Spagnuolo has to do is take away the first option. If we make him hold the ball and Jalen Waddle is not 100% healthy, even though we do expect him to play in this game, then how is he going to be able to throw the football down the field in this type of weather conditions, in these type of temperatures? And, one way to negate speed is to play in an ice box. And that's basically what they're going to be in on Saturday.
We're talking to Nate Taylor, our Chiefs insider from The Athletic, looking just at Miami and where they're at as a team, too. I mean, you mentioned Waddle already, who's banged up, even if he's trending towards playing. I mean, they lost Bradley Chubb a few weeks ago. They got Jalen Phillips. They also, I think, lost, I don't know what the latest is with Van Ginkel as well, one of their linebackers. Whatever. I mean, this is not the same Miami team, even from just a pure health standpoint.
Yeah, and so I know this isn't going to be like a glamorous take, but the player who scares me the most is probably their rookie running back, Achane, because he's healthy, he's very fast, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's not going to be guarded by Trent McDuffie or L'Jarius Sneed the way Tyreek Hill is going to be. So the Dolphins are going to walk into Arrowhead with very limited options, with a quarterback, by the way, who's never played in the postseason. I think that's also something that you have to consider, too, is like you gain experience along the way, and they made the playoffs last year, but because of Tua's head injuries and his concussions, he couldn't be able to play. So you're asking him to go to Arrowhead in freezing temperatures and lead the team, past the first round of the playoffs. But it's hard to do because they don't have the defense that they had, right? I think their defense was really trending in a positive direction. They might not have Xavier Howard for this game. He's their best cornerback, despite Jalen Ramsey getting their Pro Bowl honor because he's Jalen Ramsey, I guess. Jalen Ramsey has not been good this season, guys. I do want to make that very clear. But no Bradley Chubb, no Jalen Phillips, no Van Ginkel. Like, their defense is decimated. So for the Chiefs, it's just a matter of being disciplined with, the lack of penalties. You don't want to have that many penalties to back you up. You obviously want to run the football. This is an Isaiah Pacheco game if there was ever one to have in postseason. And, don't turn the football over. Like, if you do that, you're going to have chances to move the football on this defense because, unfortunately, they're getting into the playoffs without their nucleus on that side of the football, which, again, puts the burden even more on Tua's shoulders.
He's one of the few guys I would actually still ask this about because otherwise I wouldn't even ask the question based on how well they've done this year. But can they stop Tyreek 2 times in a row? I wouldn't normally ask that, Nate, based on how well they've done against pretty much every elite wide receiver this year. Tyreek is an exception because he has an exceptional talent.
Yes, but I do think they can, right? Or they could at least make it mucky for Tua, right? This is one of those games where if I'm Steve Spagnuolo, I'm leaning heavily in Tyreek Hill's favor, and I'm asking, okay, Jalen Waddle, you're out here. We know you have an injury as well. We know you're not 100%. Go beat us, okay? Who's the Dolphins tight end? Does anybody know? What's his name?
Gesicki? No, he's not even there anymore. I don't even know who the hell he is.
Not even there. So, can the Dolphins tight end beat us? And again, I think Drew Tranquill has to be on the field all the time because Achane coming out of the backfield, I think, is their best weapon, not named Tyreek Hill. So there's a chance that L'Jarius Sneed with a week off, obviously he had a calf injury that he was dealing with the last time we saw him against the Cincinnati Bengals. You would think that would be, that injury would not be as significant as it was a couple weeks ago. Trent McDuffie is obviously still excellent in coverage. So you have two options to try to negate Tyreek Hill. And sure, he might have a highlight or two, but what you just don't want him to do is be that guy who has over 100 yards, who has 2 touchdowns. You want to sort of limit him because, again, this has been the book on Tua. Let them get behind, Don't make them be a, two-dimensional team. Make them one-dimensional, which obviously eliminates the running game, which I think is still some of their best, some of their best plays are still when they have some creative misdirection on the running game alongside that sort of zone running attack that they have. Obviously, that's a major component of the Shanahan offense that they're sort of using and leaning on. But if Tua has to throw the ball 50 times in, sub-freezing temperatures, it's not going to be great. Even if he does have Tyreek Hill, because, again, the Chiefs have one of the best secondaries in the league, and that's one of the reasons why they're having a home playoff game and the Dolphins are not. The Dolphins secondary is not good. And it's one of the reasons why Josh Allen, despite throwing 2 interceptions on Sunday, was still very effective because there were holes and advantages to take all over the field. So I think the secondary can do it again because they really haven't let anybody be a game wrecker all season from the wide receiver position.
I know there's not much at all you can take from a Week 18 game against the Chargers where it was backups all over the place, but McCole Hardman got 100% of the snaps, I believe, on the Chiefs' offense, and working him back in. Do you take anything from that performance? Is that a sign that he's going to get some snaps from anybody else, or was that just, hey, look, he's playing in Week 18 and we needed somebody out there?
It's both, but I would answer your question with one that I've really thought about, fellas. McCole Hardman or Kadarius Toney? Who do you want?
McCole
Who do you
Hardman,
want on the field?
Yeah, got to be Hardman. Yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. I mean, Kadarius Toney is a glimmering, shiny talent, but he's been injured and he's been ineffective at times when obviously he's been on the field. The Chiefs are the 3 seed largely because of Kadarius Toney. You never want to put it on one person because it's a team sport. But I don't know, y'all. This is like the best example we've had in a long time. Where if he just catches one of those balls against the Detroit Lions, and if he just lines up properly, they probably win 2 games. So I do think that the one thing you can take on offense, well, I would say 2 things. It was very nice of them that they got to see what Blaine Gabbert could do in the offense against, NFL-ish competition, right? Just so that he's not coming off extremely cold if he is required to play like we all saw Chad Henne have to do last season in the postseason as well. So I think that's a major plus. And secondly, yeah, they got McCole Hardman in rhythm. They know what routes he can run. They know he has a good relationship with the quarterback. It's one of the reasons why they traded for him. And right now he's healthier, more reliable, and honestly more efficient than Kadarius Toney. So I do think McCole Hardman is your 5th receiver for this game. You still have Justin Watson. You still have Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Rashee Rice. Obviously, Travis Kelce's your number 1 sort of pass catcher. And you can sprinkle in Justin Ross if you would like. But I do think there's a role for McCole Hardman because at least it forces the defense to honor his speed. And you can either use that as a decoy or you can use that to sort of stretch the field horizontally just as much as vertically with obviously the jet sweeps, the counters, the end arounds. Obviously, he can line up in the backfield if he would like. He can kind of do some things that Jerick McKinnon can do if Jerick McKinnon is not available for this game, that being McCole Hardman. So he played well. I know he had a couple drops against the Chargers, but again, that's a little bit of working with Blaine Gabbert and just trying to get back into the feel of you're playing every snap. So it's a good experience. And I do think he's earned a role for this game if the Chiefs need him on a critical 3rd down or if they need him for some creativity in the red zone.
Last thing for me, Nate, since I think Andy Reid will probably get asked about it anyway, Mike Florio once again floating out the possibility of the end of an era for Andy Reid. I've never gotten a sense that he was close to the end. Do you think he is?
What's that man going to do? What is he going to do?
I don't know, man. He'd get bored real fast.
What you gonna do, Coach? Coach, this is all you know, Coach. I'm sorry. Does Andy Reid still work with the most talented quarterback in the league? No. I have heard. I mean, I have not heard anything to suggest that Andy Reid is, considering retirement. I think Andy Reid is an optimistic but also a realistic person in understanding that, sure, he's got a nice contract. He's got a nice job. They continue to win. He's got much of the personnel in place. Now, that may be disrupted a little bit because guys like Brent Tillis and Mike Berganzi, hell, who knows? They may get plucked for once, finally, by another franchise. But for the most part, things are in place for stability and success. Andy Reid's health has not really been an issue this season. I like to remind people, too, that it was coming off of last training camp where we sort of knew that he had another, sort of lower body procedure. He wasn't walking around as great. He was sort of trying to, get 100% healthy. It hasn't. Obviously, there was a whole COVID scare based on people of a certain age, and he's obviously fit that category. But this year, there really hasn't been any health issues that I can tell or that anyone has, sort of explained to me in the organization. So I think he'll be the coach next season. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm a respectable journalist. I try to give people plenty of respect and understand that we have a difficult job from a communication standpoint because, we're asked to communicate in the best way possible in a speedy manner, right? We don't always get the amount of time we want. So I'm not necessarily questioning Florio, but I kind of am. And I think last year with Jay Glazer was a great example, guys, where Jay Glazer asked him, and Andy was like, dude, he was like the 40th, 50th, 60th person to ask me, how long am I going to keep doing this? I was like, I don't know. Maybe this is it. He's like, he finally folded. And Jay Glazer was like, we got him, Whereas you would normally say, hey, let's have another follow-up. Let's are you sure? What are you exactly saying, Andy? But so in some cases, it's like, hey, Jay Glazer wasn't wrong because Andy Reid told him something, but also he wasn't right because Andy Reid wasn't definitive. So it's all conjecture and hilariousness and silly. It's not even a storyline. The best part, if this was an interesting storyline, I mean, okay, but you guys are right. Maybe someone will ask it. I won't because I'm with Andy every day, and I mean he loves this. And again, I have no idea what he would do if he wasn't coaching in the NFL, and he's one of the best coaches in the league. So he's got the job he wants. So I mean, obviously it's up to him and his prerogative, but I don't see it, fellas.
All right, we will not be listening to Nate Taylor at 11:45. Ask Andy Reid that question. Nate, appreciate it, man, and we'll check in next week. Hopefully, still talking about this team in the playoffs and maybe heading back to Buffalo.
Fellas, there's only been a small amount of stadiums that I have yet to be in, and this is largely because of COVID reasons and just the way the NFL schedule comes out. One of those stadiums is Buffalo.
There you go.
You're telling me if they win, I get to see Patrick Mahomes' first true road playoff game in the conference be in snowy Buffalo? Sign me up. I'm there. I want to be there so bad. But yeah, hopefully, the season will still continue. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about, but I mean, if it's going to be like this on Saturday, how is Buffalo the better alternative in round two?
Definitely is potentially the case. Nate Taylor from The Athletic. He joined us earlier today. And yeah, I mean, it is nuts that the weather is better in Buffalo than it is here in Kansas City for this playoff game this weekend. And it could be the same even the following weekend. Now, I'll take the bad weather if it means an extra home game or something. But
for the obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And in this case, it feels like a pretty decided advantage against Miami. They
There
do
could
not
not be
win
any
in
other
cold
team.
weather. Tua doesn't win in cold weather. It just feels like a big advantage.
I understand Jacksonville's another AFC team in Florida, but Miami specifically, South Florida, there is not another team in the NFL where the weather actually matters more, I feel like.
Just look at it outside. Just look
Like, in
outside and
terms
tell
of
me that the Miami Dolphins want to come play in this.
In terms of a warm weather city coming to Kansas, there's not a greater discrepancy in the AFC.
No.
Than what we're going to have on Saturday.
This has been the year of teams being way better at home and being complete fraudulent on the road. Miami and Dallas. And there's been multiple teams where you're like, well, you're a really, really, really good home team. And then we put you on the road and it is a massive swing and difference in quality. Because I can look at these two teams and understand their playoff record, and then I can understand how competitive they were in those games and all that stuff that comes in between it. I like it from that perspective. I do feel better that Donovan Smith practiced today.
Yes.
I will remind you, he practiced the first day last week too, and then stopped practicing. So I'm not done worrying about left tackle yet, but I feel better than I did a couple of days ago when Wanye left the game.
It's a situation where, like, you're playing, dude. You've been out 5 weeks with a neck stinger. We got a guy in concussion protocol that we can't, like, there is a protocol.
We can't do anything.
You're playing. Like, Donovan, you're playing left tackle, Donovan Smith, on Saturday night. Sorry. Like, what do I, 85%, he's got to play.
Yeah.
I think that's the case. Tomorrow, by the way, Ross Tucker, friend of the show, going to join us, get his perspective on the Chiefs and the rest of the NFL postseason. We'll also check in with Kling and talk about Tyreek Hill's return. Mitch Holthus had something to say about it earlier this week. We'll get to that. Up next, The Drive. It's going to be joined by Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, 310 this